It is 6 a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Congratulations, you just woke up in the greatest country in history. Let's get to work. We've got an entire show for you planned today of engaging discussions, critical analysis, but most importantly, your phone calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So grab a cup of coffee, Denver. Let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Absolutely jam-packed show. Everything from Denver car theft ring being broken up, having connections with the Sinaloa cartel down in Mexico, to Trump taking on birthright citizenship. Jenna Griswold gets please do better next time. Meanwhile, Tina Peters sitting in prison in part because of exactly what Jenna Griswold did. Is that just two-sided justice taking place in this state? We'll get into that. Also, the Colorado economy not doing so good. At one point was number 5 in the country, now number 41. What in the world is happening? I'll give you a little bit of hint. It's all those progressives in power. We'll be talking about that. Plus, an update on Syria. We'll talk the United CEO killer, Luigi. He had his manifest posted yesterday. Just one paragraph. No sentence breaks. Is he kind of Ted Kaczynski or a folk hero? We'd like to hear from you as well. So phone lines are open. Give us a call, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Bill, I've got to get the numbers. I'm going to email the folks at Step Denver. But when we wrapped yesterday, 710 KNUS listeners, $20,000.
That's amazing. That is incredible.
You guys rocked it.
Yeah, that's a great number. That was a fantastic number. And I was doing some surfing around with some other media outlets, both just online and some other ones that were on air, and our listeners were killing it. Our listeners were killing it. It was I was seeing one late in the day. They're like, we're almost to 15,000. Like, we did that in 3 hours. Yeah, it was fantastic. It was really, really nice. Now, and again, this is a larger outlet that is out there doing some stuff. And so that was fantastic. And there were some really small charities that are close to my heart that did fairly well yesterday, too. So it was kind of cool. But you guys killed it. Our listeners were fantastic yesterday. We were breaking records. It was wonderful. We're
going to ask Step Denver to give us a total amount. We'll get that and we'll announce that a little bit later, but a lot of news to cover. Speaking of that, let's dive in to news and comment with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, guys. This is going to be a crazy day. I can feel it right now. 20 and clear outside in Denver, expecting a high of 50 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story, Boulder police say fentanyl was not involved after several men overdosed at the Kappa Sigma fraternity Saturday night. Authorities said the initial investigation revealed that at least 6 men were taken to a hospital or treated by EMS at the fraternity house after 10 o'clock. The update reported only 5 men were treated, with all of them in stable condition. Cocaine recovered at the scene by detectives is being tested for inconsistencies. Play dumb games, win dumb prizes. Former Douglas County Sheriff's Office employee Alexis Montoya, 43 years old, has been arrested on sexual misconduct charges. Detectives received a tip in October that an employee assigned to the detention division as a crew leader may have been involved in an inappropriate relationship with an inmate. Montoya turned herself in. P. Diddy is in jail. Jay-Z is being sued. And last night on Jason Whitlock, former NFL star Larry Johnson says Beyonce, and he refers to her as B here in this audio, may be involved in crimes involving children. Johnson witnessed something here in Colorado with Beyonce.
When Jay was going after B was a very young woman. Now, I did a Rockaware photo shoot in Colorado. And I think it was during the wintertime of 06 or 07. And Naomi Campbell was there. Actress Jamie King was there. Jay was there. B was there. And he rented this house. And we were supposed to do this rap party for this photo shoot. We rented this house and we were watching LeBron play. And after the game, it had to be like 10 or 11 o'clock. So we getting ready to party. Mind you, it's all adults. So when 11 o'clock hit, we turned on the music, we started drinking, and then out of nowhere came these young children. I don't know where they came from. For a rap party at 11 o'clock at night, drinking, loud music, and us dancing wild. Like, I don't know where these kids came from. And then I happened to sit down because I was dancing with one of the assistants. And I sat next to this child, and the child sat next to Beyonce. So I hear B say something about, doesn't this look sexy, or isn't this sexy? And in my mind, and mind you, I'm not awakened as I'm awakened now. So in my mind, I'm like, what did she just say? And then I didn't pay no attention to it. And then, you know, obviously the liquor took hold of me and I had to leave. So I said bye to everybody and left. But
I mean, it's just disturbing. Johnson says, and no surprise here, Hollywood is filled with the abuse of children. Just sickening and disgusting. Yeah, so do I. And everyone is talking about it except for the mainstream media. I mean, to me, that is a huge bombshell right there. Just story after story.
I did ministry at Bel Air Presbyterian Church, was on staff there, Bel Air, California, right there,
right
among all the big estates and mansions, and right in the center of Hollywood. And it's just a wildly godless culture.
God.
So are you shocked that we took God out of a culture and then people act godless?
Exactly.
I mean, that's
no, I'm not shocked at all. And I don't think millions of people are actually, and that's why people push away this stuff. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Unfortunately, they have all the money in the world, and that's what it takes to fight off a lot of this. So a lot of things being exposed. I mean, it's just story after story. Chatbot company Character.ai is being sued for allegedly leading teenagers to harm themselves. The lawsuit claims the chatbot allowed underage users to be targeted with sexually explicit, violent, and harmful content. All right, now we get on to this one. Senator Bernie Sanders called United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson's murder unacceptable. Well, that was nice of him, but added, you cannot have people in the insurance industry rejecting needed health care for people while they make billions of dollars in profit. But is there more to this story? Is Luigi Mangione just crazy, or does this have something to do with insider trading, an upcoming hearing, Nancy Pelosi, all these things flying around out there? Millions of people discussing this on social media. Also, his former roommate, RJ Martin, continues to talk. He says he introduced him to the story of the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, and it's just all so strange.
I wouldn't say I turned him onto it, but it was my selection for our book club.
Okay, because the manifesto that we got our hands on cites that quite often. Do you feel strange now that this guy who you lived 6 months with has now been picked up on murder charges?
I feel strange because he was a great friend, and I would consider him, a close friend, and that somebody who would assassinate somebody is completely incompatible with the person that I lived with, the person that I cooked meals with, the person that, was part of book club and other activities with. It's like two completely different human beings.
Stay tuned. It's going to get wild today. A New Jersey lawmaker wants to ban all drone use in the state until more is known about the drones that have been flying around New Jersey for the past few weeks. Republican John Bramnick is demanding a ban over what's been referred to as nefarious activity by large drones flying in groups, often near sensitive locations. The merger between Kroger and Albertsons is being blocked. A judge sided with the FTC on Tuesday, which argued the merger would have eliminated head-to-head competition between the two major grocery store chains and would have led to higher prices for shoppers. The merger was set to be worth $25 billion. News brought to you by Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's premier source for everything fireplace, patio, and grills, locally owned and operated since 1954, online at lairfireplacepatio.com. 16 in Arvada, 17 in Englewood, 20 in Denver. Jeff and Billy, they continue. It's Wednesday morning hump day. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Partly cloudy skies and a little bit warmer. Temperatures will make the upper 40s and low 50s in Denver today, upper 20s tonight. Temperatures upper 40s and lower 50s on Thursday, 20s Thursday night. Cloudy on Friday, a bit cooler as a weak disturbance comes through. Maybe a couple of flurries. Temperatures on Friday, 40s, 20s Friday night. Back to the 50s for Saturday and Sunday, trending colder with the front moving in Sunday night and into the day on Monday. I'm day weather meteorologist Don Day.
Headline out of the Denver Post, 17 people indicted in Denver car theft ring linked to a Sinaloa cartel, the police say. Suspects exchanged stolen cars for drugs that they then distributed in Denver.
Wait, that can't be real. Because our attorney general said people were just stealing cars to sleep in them. So they weren't sleeping in them? No? You mean that the Professor Phil, who told us that we were being unkind to the homeless who were just stealing our cars and our catalytic converters because they needed food, sustenance, and somewhere to sleep? They weren't going out and committing more crimes. They weren't doing anything with the drugs. They weren't involved in the Sinaloa cartel. He was wrong? What?
Shockingly, yes.
Oh, man. What else was on the whiteboard then? I can't imagine that his whiteboard lied to us. How is that possible? That Professor Phil's whiteboard lied to us? That he said it was just about sleeping and that we were mad, that if we really cared, we should just leave our cars open with a sandwich inside. Okay, it might have had to be asked then, but the last part. But still, that's kind of the point that he said. Did you just understand this? That why they're being stolen? Oh, for drug gang stuff. Okay, that doesn't make me feel better.
It gets more wild, and it got so bad that the Denver DA, Beth McCann, finally decided to step up and do something about it.
Well, that's because they weren't lighting the cars on fire. That was the reason. If they just lit them on fire, she'd go, oh, that's okay. Don't worry about that. Lighting fires in public is fine. Trying to stay warm.
Yeah. They're sending a message.
And then lighting fires and with Beth McCann, lighting fires in public is fine. She's okay with that, especially if you're related to her.
Boy, exactly. Yeah. Up near Grand Lake, right?
In Grand County. Yep, exactly. That's just fine. Yeah. So if they would have just taken the cars into the mountains and lit them on fire, Beth been like, that's okay. And Phil had been like, that's fine too. Don't worry about it.
17 people indicted in an alleged car theft ring connected with the Sinaloa cartel are accused of stealing, listen to this, at least 190 vehicles at or near Denver International Airport and taking them to Mexico to exchange for drugs to distribute in the metro area, according to the Denver District Attorney's Office. The thefts, usually high-end pickup trucks, occurred between September 2022 and February and cost victims $9.5 million. Grand jury indicted the suspects on 222 charges related to organized crime, to auto theft, drug possession and distribution, and identity theft after a years-long investigation by local, state, and federal law enforcement. Denver DA Beth McCann said, these indictments should send a message that people who steal cars in Denver will be totally ignored until you steal 222 of them or 190 of them.
Yeah.
Will be caught and will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Yeah. The lesson here is volume. Just don't operate on volume.
Right.
That's the lesson here.
Right.
That's the issue. If you're saying small time car theft, that's fine. Once you get into the volume, then you're competing with everybody else. That's not cool. That's not cool at all.
11 of the 17 suspects are in police custody, and the remaining 6 are believed to be in Colorado, Texas, and Mexico. No indication from our friends over at the Denver Post or the DA's office as to the legal status of the 17 suspects here. The sophistication and coordination of the scheme, quote, is something akin to what we might see in a Hollywood movie, said David Oleski, Assistant Special Agent in charge of the Drug Enforcement Administration. Rocky Mountain Division.
Yeah, he's a friend of the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay.
These weren't simply individuals looking to steal a car for a joyride. This was a multi-million-dollar international enterprise which robbed far too many here in the state of Colorado. An overwhelming number of the stolen cars were taken from DIA or surrounding areas, including hotels that provide free parking to guests who stay one night before leaving on a trip. 17 suspects range from people alleged to have direct ties to the cartel to people police say orchestrated the exchanges and distribution of methamphetamine and cocaine in Denver. Rising auto theft rates also had a broader impact on raising insurance rates when Colorado became the #1 state per capita for auto thefts after the pandemic, said Kent Prose, supervisory special agent of the National Insurance Crime Bureau. The state has now since dropped to number 2.
Oh, that's not good. That's not good because when you were a kid, being #1 or #2 wasn't never anything good. I mean, just everybody teased you about that. Sorry. I love the fact that that we weren't understanding it. That it was like you don't have the compassion, you don't have the understanding as to what these people are going through. And no, now we seem to understand this. And also a crime of opportunity. Not a surprise that, let's see, if you were going to do crime, if you and I, though, were going to decide today that we needed to go and steal cars,
yes,
where would you go? You probably don't go to the dealership. Yeah. You got to go somewhere where there's a lot of cars. Oh, the airport. It's large parking lots and hotels and places like that. Surprise. Yeah, this is really a crime of opportunity. And the fact that there aren't, especially at the airport, more security measures in place is fascinating.
That's really interesting to me too.
I'm just like, it is nearly impossible for me to get in and out of certain places and then checking things. And they're like, but we can just drive somebody else's car off the lot here? The hell? We can't bring certain amounts of liquid through TSA to check there, but I can show up and just drive somebody's car away? Really?
Right. And
how the hell that happened?
I mean, I was just there the other day. You got to put in the little
ticket thing, yeah.
And then they used to take a picture of your license plate, and then you got to put in a credit card.
I'm wondering if
to leave. I don't understand.
I don't either. I wonder if it's just one, again, if we're talking about the crime side, if we can get bogus credit cards or somebody else's credit card.
Yeah.
And then we just show up at the booth and say, oh, I forgot my ticket. It's been a long trip.
I wonder how many times a day they have to deal with that.
Yeah. I wonder how long and how many times, because that'd be an easy way. Again, if I was at my base stupid level of understanding, if I was going to try to steal somebody's card, that's what I'd do. I'd go out there to the airport, get into the car, drive up to the booth, and then say, I forgot my ticket. I don't know where it is. I had it in my luggage, and I don't know where it is.
I've never seen people just wandering around the parking lot, even the cheaper lots out at DIA. And that's not even the term for the airport anymore. That's like old school. It's DEN, right? I don't see people wandering around.
It'll be DIA for me forever. I don't care. Just like still Mile High. Vesco Field, my foot.
There's people pulling luggage. It's not like there's roaming gangs of people trying to break into cars.
But again, if we were going to do that, you go out there with a rolling bag and you put the tools inside the bag, and that's all you do.
Oh, that's smart.
You drive and you wander around until you get near the car.
3 a.m. because the cars are going to be sitting there at 3 a.m.
Yeah, or just middle of the afternoon, because if you can get into that car quickly enough, if like we saw recently as far as crime sprees, these aren't the ones being stolen, but that Kia and Hyundai are remarkably easy to hotwire. So if you can get in, you can drive that car away. So all you're trying to do is find that 1 minute or so where you can get next to that door to get inside the car.
Yeah.
That's it. And then we talked about in You Choose the News number of weeks ago how there were people at restaurants in places like LA and Chicago where people would sit just outside the parking lot and have this, basically it's a skimmer, but it skims frequencies. And when you would push lock on your car, it would take that frequency, duplicate it, and they could come back 45 seconds later after you left and redo that and unlock your car, which is great if you have a Tesla, because then the car turns on. It's really easy to steal the Teslas at that point.
Really?
If you can ape that, if you can ape that signal. Yeah.
Now they're going after high-end trucks, pickup trucks. So keep that in mind while you're heading out there to the airport. In my case, I drive a 15-year-old CRV with 270,000 miles on it. So I am on nobody's list to steal.
No.
I can leave it unlocked and just
you can leave the windows open with a note on the thing. Please take me, and it'd still be there when you get back. Have a family of squirrels living inside, but it'd still be there. Yeah, driving
not so great car. I'm a disciple of Dave Ramsey. I just follow what he says, and it works out. And you just drive really old cars. Yeah, now, you're a car guy, though.
Yeah, I am, and I drive a really old car too. But my really old car is not valuable, but it's slightly valuable. I'm getting very excited because it's almost going to be 25 years old. We're getting so close. I'm within 2 years, so next year it's going to be 24, and then 26 will be 25. No, next year it'll be 25. Yeah, in 2025 it'll be. I'll be 24 years old. Yeah,
do you think there's better security over at the private parking areas? Like the garages with valet and all that stuff?
Marginally. I would say marginally. Only because they probably have a little bit better security system to get your car out. Getting you in, they probably have more monitoring, and there probably is a lot more liability. Because I imagine, the city is like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do to us? Where the private people, there's more skin in the game there. So that's, I would guess, and my guess would be there's probably better cameras, and it's probably much more difficult to get the car off the lot in those private lots. But that's just a guess.
What's your over under on the legality of the 17 suspects that have been indicted?
My guess is
legal status.
Yeah. My guess is you're probably looking at 60 to 60% illegal.
Yeah.
Because you need some people internally that can get you around the system here. The question I've got is, if we're taking the cars into Mexico, and that was the idea, is they're getting them down there, you have to have somebody, probably the illegals can't get you through the ports of entry.
Yeah.
And you're not taking the cars to the river. And yes, we do have drug cartels that talk about large tunnels they can take things through, but are you really taking a convoy of pickup trucks back across, in your big tunnel system? I think that's going to be more focused on the drugs, and bringing a large number of cars into your secret tunnel might also attract attention. So I don't think that's going. So my guess is that you have some U.S. citizens that are helping them get the illegal cars across the border in one way or another. Just like, again, we talk about the drugs, and I know people lean a lot on illegals, but it is the vast majority of American citizens that help illegal drugs get across the border in between Mexico, because the easiest way to do it.
Right.
Because they're in the least amount of scrutiny, and it's also busy and a whole bunch of other stuff. So that's where that stuff comes in. So my guess is there are some Americans involved, but you involve the illegals because they're the ones that are going to do the wet work. They're the ones that are going to do the dirty stuff. They're the ones that are going to be out there at the at DIA, because if they get pinched, the U.S. citizen isn't looking at the same type of prison entanglements and things. So you're not going to face the same thing. So you're using them as sacrificial lambs. And that's also their motivation. Hey, you're here illegally. How are you going to make money? I've got to wait for you to do it under the table.
If you don't do what I tell you to do, guess who I call?
Exactly. So you have leverage over them. So that's my guess. The foot soldiers are going to be
Mike
illegals.
Johnston, he'll come to your help.
Yeah. And the people in charge, the people that are doing that are up higher, that are organizing everything, they're going to be American citizens, is my guess, with contacts in Mexico.
17 people indicted in Denver. Car theft ring linked to the Sinaloa cartel. 222 charges for stealing at least 190 vehicles, many out at the airport. Please protect, think about strategies, get a ride.
And it's your big fancy pickup trucks.
It's a big fancy.
That are no longer
exactly right.
that are no longer work trucks. They're just luxury cars with a pickup bed. That's all they are.
Those are the number one sold cars in America.
Oh yeah,
pickup trucks.
Ford F-150, everything else. Yeah. In fact, part of the reason that and Donald Trump talks about how there are other countries that don't take our imports and things, and he has somewhat of a point there. But the vast majority of the reason they don't take them is because of the cars we make are too big. They don't fit on roads
France
in Europe.
is not interested in your Ford F-350.
Anywhere in Europe, you don't have any room to take that car around. And the same thing in Asia. It's just too big for what they need. They don't have the same type of road system that we do. In fact, I saw someone the other day talking about walking around London. And if you saw someone with a big pickup truck, a big SUV, or a fancy sports car, they said that's someone that is showing off their wealth. That's a wealth indicator because it is the most impractical transportation in the city of London that you could possibly have.
The place that was built for little buggies?
Yeah, exactly.
Horses?
It's actually, it's weird things to do a lot of the trivia. That is, I believe, it is the smallest city inside of all of the United Kingdom is technically London. It's only barely more than a mile wide. And that has to go back to almost like the Renaissance, that the original city proper of London was only 1.1 miles. And if you walk around, you can find remnants of the old wall that was there. And they never really expanded it. It's like everything else has just become suburbs. So technically, if you get into it, it's still like considered the smallest city.
Wow.
But yeah. But that's again, I can't do long division, but I know how to do that. And this is stupid. There's things my brain does that are of no use at all. No use at all.
Well, I want to talk to you about my good friend, Dan Caplis and Dan Caplis Law. I've known Dan for well over a decade. This guy's pro-life, pro-family, pro-America. So he's with us on the values. That's important because he's a guy you trust. That's also important because when you head into an injury case, and you're going to go do battle with insurance companies, maybe somebody that hits you with their car, all that stuff, you're going to send a message to everybody involved that you're serious because you didn't just hire somebody, one of those lawyers on a bus that went by. You're hiring somebody that's serious when it comes to values. He's dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. But more than just being a guy with solid values, he is a real winner when it comes to the courtroom. Dan is believed, and listen to this, to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. Dan Caplis Law is so trusted that they're the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law, a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So chances are you're not on the side of the road right now at this moment and desperately need to call Dan Caplis. So when that injury case happens, okay, and you might be having to deal with police, insurance companies, God forbid, first responders and paramedics, the other driver, whatever it might be, you don't want to be scrambling to try to find Dan Caplis's phone number. So just put it into your phone right now. Just contacts, open it up, Dan Caplis Law. Here we go. Here's the phone number, 303-770-5551. That's 303-770-5551 or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S Law.com. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
At this hour, I'm Christina Owayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories.
Luigi Mangione showing the first sign of emotion as he was being led from a police car into a Pennsylvania courtroom for an extradition hearing.
Luigi, back up. That's completely out of touch and an insult to the intelligence of the American people and the lived experience.
A usually aloof-looking Mangione could be seen gritting his teeth as he looked back, appearing almost angry as deputies ushered him through the door. The 26-year-old Ivy League graduate, who has been charged in the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, remained quiet in the courtroom in front of the judge. He nodded and smiled with his attorneys after looking at documents and only spoke to say yes, sir, when asked if he understood his rights. Mangione is due back in court on December 23rd. He's being held without bail and is fighting extradition to New York. A man in Utah was arrested after police say he intentionally crashed his recently purchased car into the front of a dealership.
Whoa!
According to Sandy police, Michael Murray bought the car from Tim Dale Mazda Southtown on Monday morning. Hours later, the 35-year-old discovered what he believed to be mechanical issues and tried to return the vehicle. Nobody was injured during the incident, but the dealership had about $10,000 in damages.
In Dallas, Christina Owayo, Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show.
That's convenient. I'm not just going to bend here for a second. I'm not supposed to talk about
I'm watching Billy try to
system.
get the computer to work.
Stupid computer system. Again, okay, so all of y'all heard an old promo that just appeared in the system. Now, I have to go in and I change the name of the promo every day. That one should have been changed days ago and shouldn't have been in the system like that, but I had to stop it. So then the system, of course, because I told it to stop and do what it says, it then wants to punish me.
Well, Bill, you're messing with the Matrix, dude.
That's exactly it. It's like, oh, I will teach you, flesh bag. So it starts messing with me. And then at the end, it doesn't then allow me to crossfade two sources at the same time. This is just, again, the computer system decided. Yeah. The other part is that this system was obviously designed by engineers and not people that work in radio. It was done so that the engineers had an easier time and job. And this is not the only operating system that I've experienced this with, where somehow it got much easier on the IT end and much more difficult on the user interface end. Very strange how that seems to happen over and over and over again. So yeah, that was the machine just trying to punish me. So nice job. I love how the music just ends. Just great. That's wonderful.
And here's Jeff and Bill.
And the only way, and it had to end because I had to click the little button that's in the system to tell us to turn the machine here that's in the system, turn us live back on, because the computer takes over during that time. So the computer was mad. I stopped it doing its job. And then it punished me for trying to do my job. I hate the computer. Computer hates me.
We were talking about this. 17 people indicted in alleged car theft ring connected to the Sinaloa cartel are accused of stealing at least 190 vehicles at or near Denver International Airport and taking them to Mexico to exchange for drugs that they then distributed back here in Denver. Fantastic. But text message here. Our truck was stolen. This is from Brittany. Our truck was stolen from DIA. It was recovered a couple weeks later. The number of miles added equaled a little over 2 trips to Mexico.
Jeez. That explains a lot too. Yeah.
I just don't, you can't take, I wouldn't take valuable cars out there.
No, I wouldn't at all. No. Or get a friend to drop you off, something like that. Or at least if you have to, spring, for the money for the Uber. But you don't have to take the Uber from your home. You could drive your car to a friend's house or something and then have the Uber pick you up or things. So again, there are ways around it from having to do that. If you really wanted to, I'm just going to drop your car at our house. And we're like, I hop, skip, and a jump from the airport.
Radio host providing all the needs for you.
I mean, it's one of those things. Yeah, it's we've got friends that do that park the car at our house and then we'll take them over to the airport and then pick them up when they come back. So they don't have to pay for parking and they know the car is, we're watching it and it sits in our driveway. Not a big deal. Yeah, but that's what I would look at is I would not want to take an expensive car out there.
Take the expensive cars out to Denver.
Never.
More news from deep within the swamp of Colorado progressive politics. This from Colorado Politics Ethics Commission, Rick Palacio. Remember that name? Violated state law by contracting with Governor Jared Polis's office. From our friends over at Colorado Politics, the Colorado Independent Ethics Commission has ruled that Rick Palacio, a former chief of staff to Governor Jared Polis and former chair of the state Democrat Party, violated state law by contracting with the governor's office within 6 months of his departure. The commission did not fine Palacio and dismissed another claim that he had, quote, double dipped as both a contractor and a state employee. According to the commission's findings, Palacio was appointed interim chief of staff in August of 2020 when Polis's then chief of staff, Lisa Kaufman, went on maternity leave. Kaufman is now the strategic advisor for the Office of Economic and International Trade. Palacio's primary duty while serving as chief of staff was dealing with the pandemic. You remember how great Polis was with that? The commission wrote in its December 6th order that Kaufman returned from maternity leave on November 9th, although Palacio remained on staff through November 30th to assist Ms. Kaufman in the transition back to the chief of staff role. He continued to work on pandemic-related issues. Kaufman decided to retain Palacio as an outside consultant, which began on December 1st. He was paid $14,000 monthly for the contract from December 20th to May of 2021, so about 6 months. According to previous reporting by the Denver Gazette, Palacio Strategies Group was paid an additional $70,000 for June through October 2020. However, it's unknown if that was part of the same contract. His LinkedIn profile, however, said that he worked with the governor's office through October 2021. State law says a former state employee may not, within 6 months of the termination of his employment, be under contract with a state agency involving matters with which he was directly involved during his employment. That's a lot of money. It would be so good, Bill, to be in Democrat politics right now.
Just politics
There's
in
money
general.
just flowing. Not for Republicans. There's no money for Republicans in this state. But you remember Ian Silveri, Jefferson County. His wife is the congresswoman from the
Heroin Barbie.
What district?
Pedersen.
What is she? 7?
Doesn't matter.
I think she's 7, which is Lakewood.
Yeah.
And then her husband gets a heck of a sweetheart deal from Jefferson County taxpayers to go research whether or not they should take the tax money from Jefferson County taxpayers.
Yeah, the county was paying a consultant to figure out how to keep more of the taxpayer money. That's interesting. That let's pay somebody a lot of money to figure out how we can get more of the money from the taxpayers and not give them the refunds that they are rightly deserved. It's again.
And Palacio, I mean, 14 grand a month.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, his strategies group was getting another $70,000.
Yeah, and I'm curious
Dang, man.
And I'm
we
curious,
in the wrong business.
And I'm curious about the run of his contract, because you said the run of the contract. I don't have the piece in front of me. Ended in May, but yet he said that he worked through October.
There was a separate contract. So there was an additional $70,000 from June, which, wink, wink, is the month after May.
Yeah.
June through October, $70,000. June, July, August, September, October. 5 months.
Okay. That's
70 grand for 5 months of work.
5 months. That's just
one of the many clients he has.
That's just, I don't know. It bothers me. And hang on a sec here. I got to figure this. Hang on here. Boom, boom. No, hang on here. We're doing a little bit of background math because, I love the fact that, you had the teachers when you were younger saying, hey, you got to know how to do this in your head, this math, because you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket. And yes, you're going to have a calculator in your pocket, thanks to the phones. Obviously, he got the secondary contract that extended all the way through October. And I'm curious about why he had to stay on for an additional 20 days to get the chief of staff up to speed. Did it require him 20 days on the front end in order to do that? Or are we just, I have a feeling what we're doing is we're just rounding out the month. We're just rounding out the paycheck. He just wants a whole paycheck. It's not about actually doing the work. In my opinion, that I am hard pressed to figure that a way that it's going to take him 20 days to get the chief of staff who had the job previously up to speed on what happened.
Yes.
How was that?
20 days. 20 days.
I have a member of my family right now that is working as a contract employee for a company, not here. No, it's not in this state at all. So it has nothing to do with the government, but they're working as a contract employee for someone who is on maternity leave. Took them 3 days prior. And again, not chief of staff or a governor. Took them 3 days prior. But guess what? When that person comes back, that person in my family's not spending 20 days getting the person ramped back up to doing the job.
20 days, and this is just constant in this state with progressives getting these sweetheart deals, and this is not private company money. Guys, this is taxpayer dollars. Taxpayer dollars going to Ian Silveri in Jefferson County. Taxpayer dollars going to Rick Palacio, former chairman of the Democrat Party. They are all enriching themselves off of the tax dollars of hardworking Coloradans. It is corrupt, and it is just another example of Democrat one-party rule in this state. Well, on better news, I want to talk to you about our good friends over at QC Kinetics. Look, are you going to start the new year dealing with that same old joint pain? I know it's hard getting older and it's cold outside. Maybe you're losing sleep, not able to take walks, or even do what you love because your knees and hips hurt. Don't start the year this way. Take action now and get the pain relief you deserve for 2025. Call QC Kinetics and say goodbye to shoulder and back pain. QC Kinetics local medical professionals are waiting for you. Their advanced protocols in regenerative medicine have helped tens of thousands of people. I'm talking lasting relief. Imagine a new year without those achy joints. No more pain pills, no more steroids. QC Kinetics uses the healing properties of your own body to attack the root cause of your pain, revitalizing your joints so you can move again. This is the future of medicine. If you've been told surgery is your best or only option, please find a second opinion, at least hear them out, because it just takes forever to recover from surgery. Find out if all natural regenerative medicine is right for you. Call QC Kinetics. The consultation's free and you can use your HSA and FSA dollars. Live your best life in 2025. Let's get started now. Here's the phone number, 303-900-8986, 303-900-8986, or visit qckinetics.com with locations in Aurora, Superior, Highlands Ranch, and the Springs. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
yesterday we had Andy from Step Denver in, and he goes, I don't know if you heard this, Bill, but he goes, when You Choose the News comes on, it tells me time to get up and walk the dog.
Hey,
So,
all right.
Like he literally sets his clock by it.
Oh, that's
we
fantastic.
hear this from so many people that You Choose the News at this moment is part of their getting up and going aspect of the day.
Hey, that is fantastic. Well, good morning, Andy, and good morning, Andy's dog, and everybody else that is just wiping those sleepies out of your eyes. It is that time of the morning where we get to play You Choose the News. Yes, we appreciate you getting up early with us, earlier than the people in charge, because that's what we're allowed to play the silly radio game show. Yes, we scour the interwebs for mere moments this morning to find these dumb stories about us humans, giving them even more ridiculous headlines so that we can play this fake radio news game, because no one in charge has any idea we are doing it. In fact, Adam was at the company Christmas party last night and said there was some sort of a rumor. Someone was asking about, did they play a game show or something morning? And Adam's like, no, what? That's a different station. You guys stop it. And he said he covered for us. So, I owe my beer.
And since last night was the company holiday party, we probably have a little bit more grace this morning.
Yes, we do. Yes, people shaking up hangovers. Yes. All righty. Here we go. Blake Olson joining us from the newsroom and Jeff Hunt in the studio. Here are your headlines this morning, gentlemen. Headline number 1, elite breeding force. Headline number 2, prayers and fasting. Headline number 2, new Las Vegas rumor incoming. And headline number 4, felony flag ban. Mr. Hunt, your choice.
We'll start with the felony flag ban.
Yes, felony flag ban. This comes to us from the great state of Ohio. Yes, they are big mad over what happened recently when Michigan stomped them and beat the Buckeyes 13-10 November 30th. You might remember that Ohio State and Michigan were both fined $100,000 for a big fight that happened in the middle of the field. Why? All over a flag. Well, State Representative Josh Williams is not going to take it anymore. He introduced the Ohio Sportsmanship Act, because everything has to have a stupid acronym. It's the OHIO. Yeah, it's dumb. It's House Bill 700. It would prohibit the planting of a flagpole and a flag at the center of the Ohio Stadium football field on the day of a college game. And they're going to name this act the Ohio Act because people are mad about flags and planting.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, what do you do with the color guard? Yeah, the color guard comes out there and they accidentally put the flag.
And what's the penalty?
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Did they have that in here? Let me see. I doubt that it is.
15 yards.
They do. Yes. Yes. And one free hit on your quarterback. That's it. Yeah.
Dude, speaking of that, did you guys see the audio between Brett Favre and the guy that that was supposed to get the NFL sack record?
Yes,
and Brett Favre threw himself down so he wouldn't get sacked by it?
Right?
No way.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Mark Gastineau. Right?
Yes.
Oh, Gastineau, yeah.
And they confront each other. It becomes really awkward, and he's yelling at him, do you know what you did to me? You know how much you hurt me? All that stuff.
Oh, wow.
I got to look at that.
Yeah,
I heard about it, but I didn't see
It's intense.
Oh, geez. I'll have to look for it. I haven't seen that either. Man. All right, so Blake Olson in the news department. Here's your choices, sir. Elite breeding force, prayers and fasting, or new Las Vegas rumor incoming?
Let's go to prayers and fasting.
Yes, prayers and fasting. That is the recommendation of former Intel chief Pat Gelsinger. Gelsinger recently stepped down from his leadership post just about 10 days ago, maybe a little bit less. And he is saying that, the company is in crisis. The 63-year-old had resigned from Intel and subsidiary. He'd spent the last 3 decades of his career at the company, including the last 4 at the helm, piloting. And he says, there are 100,000 employees at Intel, and they're not doing really well. It's kind of a difficult period. So he wants all of us to offer prayers and fasting. He says that every Thursday he does a 24-hour prayer and fasting day. Maybe if he was doing a CEO job, he wouldn't have left. But oh well. It's just an interesting choice. And oddly enough, in this, it wasn't anything about lower healthcare costs or raises or more vacation. That's weird. That's very strange. But yes, evidently the CEO said the answer to the problems of all of the rank and file, prayers and fasting. I bet he came up with the fasting because that's what some of the employees have to do because the paychecks don't go as far as they used to.
They're going to be really healthy, though.
Yes, they are. Yes. They'll be very healthy.
Fat people around there.
Alrighty. Jeff Hunt, final choice this morning, sir. Elite breeding force or new Las Vegas rumor incoming?
New Las Vegas rumor.
Yes, there's a brand new Las Vegas rumor incoming, at least if they hear about what happened recently in India. You've heard those stories of someone going out to Vegas, partying with someone of the opposite sex that is also attractive, waking up the next day and missing a kidney. You've heard that. Yes, it is it's an online rumor. Doesn't really happen, but something similar happened recently in India. A gentleman who's a farmer said people contracted him to grow lemon and guava crops that need to be planted on his farm. They said they'd offer him about $1,000 a day for this. In addition, they offered him an additional $100 in order to have some extra access to the farm. They plied him with liquor, took him to the hospital, and he got a surprise vasectomy. Again, he didn't notice the next day, he said, until he was urinating in pain. And I'm going, what about the hospital thing at the, I don't know, but yeah, surprise vasectomy. Right. Yes. So yeah, that's going to happen in Vegas now. It's not going to be losing a kidney. It's like, I lost it. No, I'm sorry. Back to you, sir. We got to get out of here.
Oh my gosh. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
KNUS.
It is 7 a.m. in the Mile High City, and you've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I almost got it on the rhythm there.
Yeah, you did. Nicely done. Nicely done.
It is Wednesday, December 11th.
That's Cardi B, not Doja Cat. Just so you know. We had a Doja Cat thing yesterday.
Yeah,
it was a moment.
Cardi B, I know, is a person. Doja Cat sounds like something my kids would watch on Nickelodeon.
You are correct. Yes, there are a number of them out there that have what would be
cartoon names.
Yes.
Is that the new thing in rap?
Well, in some genres, yeah, across the board, there's some people with some really weird names. So yeah, that just kind of happens.
I can only imagine what somebody my age back in the 90s when someone named Eminem showed up on the scene.
Oh, yeah.
Like we're naming our rappers after candy now?
I know. But it's clever because it's Marshall Mathers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was very, very clever. Yeah. That's a nice twist. I like that there's some names that are just kind of like, okay. Like Big Pun. I was like, that was stupid. Fat Joe. I'm like, okay. I mean, I get it, but that seems a little bit, pedantic, So, well. Yeah. No, the Eminem was clever.
So we got an email here from Step Denver. Yesterday, we hosted them, and in the course of 3 hours, we helped raise $20,000 for them. They went on throughout the day to be able to fund 48 men to go through the entire program. If I remember correctly, it's $5,000.
You are correct, sir.
For them to go through the program. So Step Denver yesterday raising $240,000.
It's amazing. And you recall yesterday, Amy and Andre and Andy were here. And one of the things that Amy said is they were looking to be able to fund 40 men through the program. So it was a 200,000 is where they were looking for in the course of the day. And so with the help of our listeners, we broke through that. Now, that is not all of our donations, but absolutely we take credit for being part of the team that got them across the line. You don't have to be the starting quarterback. Sometimes you're lineman. Sometimes it's block and tackle. Sometimes it's special teams. But at the end, everybody gets to raise that Super Bowl trophy. So everybody involved in the Jeff and Bill show can take partial credit for helping them blow past their goal. Nicely done, people. Nicely done.
Love you all. We got the best listeners in Colorado by far. Speaking of listeners, we'll get to news and comment in just a second. Let's check in with Connor, Denver. Good morning, Connor. You're on the Jeff and Bill show.
Morning.
Good morning, guys. Fun one today. You guys having a good time, having fun. I appreciate that. I'm tuning in. I usually listen on my way to work. I've got a day off today, though.
Hey, congratulations, man.
Go back to bed.
Yeah, enjoy the day off.
And I tuned into Rumble to watch you guys. Somebody told me you can watch this show. I had no idea. Obviously, I'm usually listening in the car.
Yeah.
But I tuned in, and a really cool dynamic. But I'll say, I know, hey, I like to have fun as much as the next guy, and I know it's legal and everything like that. But when I tune in, is it, Jeff, am I seeing it properly? Are you possibly doing a bit of a wake and bake on us? In all seriousness, your eyes are a little bit... Yeah.
No,
not wake and bake, but I do have sleepy eyes.
Yeah, no,
that's what Donald Trump's nickname would be.
They're actually FM sleepy people that I used to work with did that. There is someone here in town, not here anymore, that used to host an FM morning show on a rock station. Again, this is long time ago, that had hooked up a mechanism inside of their automobile so that they would be able to smoke the devil's lettuce on the way into the job. This person did home ec in order to make this work.
But Bill, you don't need to cover up for, like, it's okay. I think it's legal for you to do it there. So I don't think it's like an issue where you have to say it. I mean, I think anybody who's watching it right now would see that your eyes, Jeff's eyes specifically, have like a glazed over quality to them. And then he's laughing at stuff that's not necessarily like funny or everything. He's doing the over laugh stuff as well.
But Connor, I know you got a subject here, though. Connor, you got something you want to talk about rather than trying to.
You smoke marijuana?
No. Okay, Connor. You know what, dude? I'm serious, man. Come on. I mean,
well,
at least but
this is kind of fun because Connor doesn't know much about me.
No, Connor knows nothing about him. And the thing for me, Connor, is, dude, come on. I mean, come straight and come correct on the show, please. I mean, dude, we talked off air. You said you had something about a Doge office here in Colorado. That's an interesting conversation. And we come on and you start throwing insults and acting like you're a sixth grader on a playground. We goofed with you a little bit because we're trying to get you to the point. We'll put up with it for a little while. You don't understand Jeff's background, my friend. And I appreciate the compliments and you listening.
So,
dude,
this is, I don't mind talking about that.
I know you don't. But
the
issue is he couldn't get off it.
But the guy who got the 420 rally banned in Denver?
Yes.
This guy.
Yep.
This
that's
guy.
that guy right there.
420 rally got banned because we went down and took pictures of all the trash down at Civic Center Park, all the problems with it, all that.
Everything
By the
afterwards.
way, I've also done 2 very public debates, one with CPAC and one with Channel 4 and Sean Boyd on the impact of marijuana in Colorado.
Yeah.
We had
debated it here on the show.
fellows at the Centennial Institute specifically working on marijuana and the nationally impacting study on tax revenue versus social expenditures for a state that commercializes pot came through this brain right here.
Yeah.
Which found that for every $1 tax revenue, we spend $4.50.
Yeah.
So, Connor, I don't know if it was a joke, but I'm literally the most vocal advocate against pot in Colorado.
Yeah, and that's a part. Man, I'm trying to lead you, Connor. I was trying to lead you away. Kind of, you can lead a horse to water, but can't make him drink. I was trying to lead you, man, into what was a very interesting conversation when you started. But you wanted to come on here and talk crap. That's fine. I mean, if that's the goal,
and my glazed eyes is from having 4 kids and getting up at 4:15 in the morning.
Yeah, after doing a whole bunch of stuff last night. So yeah, that's just what it is.
We had kids, Christmas pageants, and all that stuff. So it was a wild night. But
I'm
no,
impressed, though.
I did not start my day off. Actually, I smoked marijuana when I was in middle school, and I hated it.
Yeah.
Some people can chill out. For me, I would get paranoid.
Yeah.
And I hated the lack of control that you have when you do it, because you're not of sound mind.
Yeah.
And it takes a while for this is not like a drink where, an hour or 2 drinking water kind of balances you out. It takes like 24 hours for pot to kind of clear out of your system.
Yeah.
So I never really liked it, but no, Connor, you basically called the guy who hates pot the most in Colorado.
Yeah, I know. Just was an odd joke. It's a weird thing. Like calling me and insulting snakes. It's like, that's weird. It's a weird choice, man. But you hung on for like 15 minutes to do it too. So it was important to you. So I hope you feel better and hope you have a good day off. Whatever it is that you have that you're not doing today, I hope that it is fantastic.
Called in the 7 o'clock hour on your day off.
Yeah. Well, actually,
All right,
technically
Connor.
the 6. He was on at like 6:45.
Yeah, that's
so,
true.
Yeah, no,
You might be called back. All right, let's check in on news and comment with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
I wonder what he'll be doing on his day off. 20.
I'm sorry for over laughing too.
Hey, you know what? Hey, if it's funny, it's funny. You sounded great at 6 a.m. this morning. I was.
Thank you.
I hate when I say 6 a.m. this morning. Obviously, it's this morning. At 6, you sounded great. I'm like, man, how do you have all that energy after party and all that, and the kids and what you have going on? I was impressed. 20 and clear in Denver, expecting a high of 50 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story, a Colorado connection. P. Diddy is in jail. Jay-Z is being sued. And last night on Jason Whitlock, former NFL star Larry Johnson says Beyonce may be involved in crimes involving children. Johnson witnessed something here in Colorado with Beyonce. He references her as B here in this audio.
When Jay was going after B was a very young woman. Now, I did a Rockaware photo shoot in Colorado, and I think it was during the wintertime of 06 or 07. And Naomi Campbell was there, actress Jamie King was there, Jay was there, B was there, and he rented this house. And we were supposed to do this rap party for this photo shoot. We rented this house, and we were watching LeBron play. And after the game, it had to have been like 10 or 11 o'clock. So we getting ready to party. Mind you, it's all adults. So when 11 o'clock hit, we turned on the music, we started drinking, and then out of nowhere came these young children. I don't know where they came from. For a rap party at 11 o'clock at night, drinking, loud music, and us dancing wild. Like, I don't know where these kids came from. And then I happened to sit down because I was dancing with one of the assistants. And I sat next to this child, and the child sat next to Beyonce. So I hear B say something about, doesn't this look sexy, or isn't this sexy? And in my mind, and mind you, I'm not awakened as I'm awakened now. So in my mind, I'm like, what did she just say? And then
Yeah, no doubt. Johnson says, no surprise, Hollywood is filled with the abuse of children, sickening and disgusting, and everyone is talking about it except the mainstream media for the most part. Denver City Council wants to spend millions of dollars to help revitalize the downtown area. The council approved a plan of development on Monday that will provide access to $570 million in funding over the next decade. The money will be used on projects such as creating affordable housing, bringing new tenants into empty office space, and creating a more vibrant and attractive downtown. Here's what brought down downtown: drug addicts, homelessness, and a sanctuary city, and defunding the police, which made downtown more dangerous. Maybe support the police. That may help. The lawyer for the alleged insurance CEO killer says they are fighting his extradition from Pennsylvania to New York. Attorney Thomas Dickey appeared with his client in a Pennsylvania courtroom Tuesday where he fought the extradition of suspect Luigi Mangione.
You know, you can't rush the judgment in this case or any case, because any one of you all, if you were charged with a crime or any of your family members or loved ones, you don't want anybody rushing to those judgments. So if you believe in America and that presumption of innocence, then you cannot rush the judgment.
Wow, that dude's audio straight out of central casting for defense attorneys. Mangione's former roommate, R.J. Martin, on Fox News last night says he actually introduced him to the story of Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber.
I wouldn't say I turned him on to it, but it was my selection for our book club.
Okay, because the manifesto that we got our hands on cites that quite often. Do you feel strange now that this guy who you lived 6 months with has now been picked up on murder charges?
I feel strange because he was a great friend, and I would consider him, you know, a close friend, and that somebody who would assassinate somebody is completely incompatible with the person that I lived with, the person that I cooked meals with, the person that, you know, was part of book club and other activities with. It's like two completely different human beings.
DJ, there's stuff that just doesn't smell right here.
No, there's so many things.
Right. So the killer, Luigi Mangione, Ivy League grad with degrees in computer science, avid reader, active contributor to GitHub. He has 130 plus IQ, but he takes off his mask at a Starbucks to flirt with an employee. Then an hour later goes and calmly kills the CEO of a major healthcare company, rides away on a bike. A week later goes to a local McDonald's where he brings the murder weapon, the fake ID he used to check into the hotel, a written manifesto on how horrible the American healthcare system is. He somehow gets identified by the cashier at a McDonald's. The cashier at a McDonald's.
Wow.
He then works on his laptop until the police come inside the McDonald's, sitting there with a ghost gun and a suppressor he made himself.
And he comes from,
by the way, that comes from Peruvian Bull on X. I mean, that's
Peruvian Bull.
Yeah, okay, some guy, but he wrote it. I'm kind of like, you know.
Yeah, and he comes from a wealthy family, extremely wealthy family, influential family in Maryland. I think, you know, they have nothing to do with it, evidently. I mean, this is just crazy. So there are going to be a lot more developments in this thing today and in the days to come. DJT is nominating.
Well, and sorry, one more thing on that too. Yeah. I think prosecutors have got to think through the charges on this, because if you go all the way,
that's a good point,
right?
Yeah,
and you just need just need one juror. One juror that got denied a health care benefit to some family member at some point.
I think they should take him to binding arbitration. It's because what you have to do with the insurance company.
There you go.
I think you just have to go with binding arbitration.
Binding arbitration.
Good enough for the insurance company to solve their problems. Good enough here. Just a thought. May not work, but I just think that's what they should do.
Interesting. I'm sure that he may bring it up, or they may bring it up. Wow. All right, this is going to be a drama that's going to be fascinating coming up here. DJT nominating former Fox News host Kimberly Guilfoyle to be the U.S. ambassador to Greece. Trump said on Truth Social that Guilfoyle's extensive experience and leadership in law, media, and politics make her qualified for the job. A federal bankruptcy judge is rejecting the Onion's bid to buy Alex Jones's InfoWars company. The judge threw out the satirical publication's bid, saying the offer and process were flawed. BLM leader Shavonna Newsom says black women were told they couldn't be jurors because of their hair in the Daniel Penny trial. Dan Abrams doesn't back down to the race hustling, and I give him credit on this one.
Why did he never ask about the well-being in that police department about Jordan Neal?
So you're asking, you're asking a lot of questions that are sort of rhetorical questions, right? But the ultimate question is, why did the jury acquit? Is it because they're racist?
America is inherently biased.
So the jury is racist.
Have you seen?
I'm asking you a question. No, don't change the subject. Is it because the jury is racist?
Yes.
All right, another NFL player's home was ransacked while he was playing a game. This time, Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow's home was broken into while he was playing a Monday night game in Dallas. No word on what was stolen.
Now, you know what's interesting about that, Blake? On a side note, this has been happening in international soccer for years.
Is that right?
Yeah, I am surprised it has taken that long for organized crime to pay attention and figure it out. This has been happening because you know, if you can find out, where the player lives, know when they're probably not home and their family's not home. And this has been happening over and over and over again. There are players in England, Italy, and Spain that have had their houses broken into several times over the course of a single season.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always thought, I've known a few players in the past, NBA and NFL, who actually hire someone to stay at the house.
That's exactly what I think is going to happen is that you're going to find out that people are going to start having to hire private security to stay in and around the home while they are not there, which is ridiculous to say this day and age, that in order to prevent people from breaking in and stealing stuff from the football players and the other athletes, they have to hire private security to watch their homes when they are doing their job. That's crazy to think about.
Wouldn't be your average dog sitting job.
No, not at all.
For teens, no doubt. 17 in Boulder, 18 in Centennial, 21 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. It's Wednesday morning. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Partly cloudy skies and a little bit warmer. Temperatures will make the upper 40s and low 50s in Denver today, upper 20s tonight. Temperatures upper 40s and lower 50s on Thursday, 20s Thursday night. Cloudy on Friday, a bit cooler as a weak disturbance comes through. Maybe a couple of flurries. Temperatures on Friday, 40s, 20s Friday night. Back to the 50s for Saturday and Sunday, trending colder with the front moving in Sunday night and into the day on Monday. I'm day weather meteorologist Don Day.
Lines here in just a second. I also want to talk Jenna Griswold and what one of the investigations found out about her. But first, look, if you're losing your hair, you need a simple solution that works. You want the best modern technology with top-rated physicians, something that's guaranteed to work. Guys, you need Dr. Tanya Pauls and her team at Advanced Hair. They've completely redefined hair restoration from the experience itself to their unmatched results. You got a receding hairline or bald spot, thinning hair, address them all with Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment in a calm, relaxed environment with the most experienced professionals. Advanced Hair has performed tens of thousands of these breakthrough treatments. And get this, your own natural hair begins to regrow the very next day. I've had family members get their hair done. It really did change their life. It brought back a youthfulness and energy with them. They look great. This really can change your life, and no one in Denver can offer anything like the advanced FUE found at Advanced Hair, and I highly recommend their team. It starts with your free consultation. Call 720-459-HAIR. If you qualify, you also get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Refine your hairline with the team that's redefined hair restoration. 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com. 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com. Jay, Denver, good morning. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Morning.
Hey, good morning. I heard your story about DIA. I'm sorry I didn't hear it all. they actually arrested a bunch of people that were stealing vehicles there?
Yeah, so this was from the Denver Post. There were 17 people indicted on 222 charges in a car theft ring that is linked to the Sinaloa cartel. And basically what they would do, they stole at least 190 cars from at DIA or near it, would drive it to Mexico, trade those trucks for drugs, bring the drugs back up to Denver, and then sell meth, fentanyl, cocaine, those types of things.
So where's my click for you are correct, sir? Billy, you need to kick that in. What's his name?
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live?
Yeah. And then also, Ed McMahon. You are correct, sir. Yes.
Ed McMahon. You are correct, sir. So let me ask you a question. You talked about the mileage clocking back and forth. Somebody said something about that. That was brilliant, where they clocked their mileage back and forth and got their car back. That's pretty much a telling deal.
Yeah, somebody texted that they had their car stolen from DIA. They were able to find it a few weeks later, and when they looked at the mileage, it was roughly around a trip to Mexico and back.
Okay. So we had some pickup trucks that we parked out there, and they disappeared, and I was troubled because DIA has more cameras than NASA.
Right.
So I don't understand how they got out of there. I just don't get it. I don't have answers. I have questions. Nice pickups, not real nice. Work trucks, white, extra cab, Chevy, so on. But this is very interesting to me because we lost property.
Yeah, seriously. So Beth McCann at the DA's office in Denver is leading this effort, as well as David Olaski with the Drug Enforcement Administration. I would contact the DA's office in Denver and see if, one of those 190 vehicles might have been
I don't
yours.
mean to interrupt you, but I'm not contacting Beth McCann for anything. Sorry, Charlie. I'll go to Douglas County and talk to Tony.
Yeah.
Captain Tony. Tony and Dougco will take care of him because you and all of us know that there's cameras everywhere. And if our trucks are going down the road, they should be able to be picked up.
And the weird thing for me, Jay, is how do they get them out of the lots as well? Because there should be at least a passing type of verification. If it literally is just, as Jeff and I were game planning this morning, if it's you show up with a stolen credit card and go, I'm sorry, I lost my little ticket thingy. If that's all it takes to get the car out of the lot, again, like you, I got some serious questions about security protocols. Well, what's the training like? Who didn't think this through? That is the easiest way to get the car off the lot. And
here's the other thing about Denver, and I was just flying over the weekend, okay? Yeah. There are tons of folks to push people in wheelchairs. Yeah, I've seen dozens. You see them; they're everywhere.
Really,
and then nobody in the parking lots providing any security. Like maybe we adjust it a little bit.
What if we put the security guards in the wheelchairs?
Let's go to the Wayback Machine. Denver's the only airport you can't walk to. How did they get those folks in there?
Yeah, that's true.
It's like 20 miles away.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cars, of course.
All right. Second issue. One other issue. This is funny. One of my guys is like, all right, forget it. I'll take a pickup. I'll take my car. I'm going to park in valet, down, but real expensive because he's just going for the day. His car got missing, stolen, valet.
Really? Wow. Stolen from valet.
Tell me why. Tell me. No, I don't have answers. I just have questions. That whole place creeps me out. It's almost like a Venus flytrap. And when you go in there,
that's a good point.
This is really a joke. I go in there and I accidentally have my buck knife in my backpack. Well, you would have seen that I tried to hold up the Wells Fargo Express. They took everything from me.
Wow. And I know lawmakers here in Colorado that accidentally left their concealed carry and were imprisoned over it. So yeah, there's one point with a ton of security. Everywhere else, no. I mean, and when you contacted the airport, Jay, what did they say about your stolen car?
It wasn't mine. It was he got sick of his truck being stolen, so he said, "Forget it. I'm going for one day. I don't know where." So he says, "I'll just park there and I'll pay the $50 or whatever it is." Gone. It was Austin Martin.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Doctor report, and I'm listening to you saying, "Oh, I must be having deja vu." Well, nope, that's it. It's real.
Jay, great call.
Thanks,
really
man.
appreciate it. Jay's line will be open. You
Don't
can
take
join
the
the
rest of mine.
conversation, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Capilis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Let's go to Melissa Lakewood. Good morning. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Good morning, guys. I was just going to let you know I was at the airport recently, and I actually did not have my debit card on me because I was waiting for it in the mail, and I was able to pay with exact change, but I literally had to count out quarters and stuff, but you can pay cash if you have exact change.
No. So they wouldn't even need to have necessarily a fake credit card. They could just come up and go, lost the ticket.
And
here's
hold
my
on,
exact
hold
change.
on. Can I just take a moment of personal privilege here?
Yeah, go ahead.
You can't use cash at Coors Field. You can't use cash at Mile High. Everything is credit card at those places. Yet, you can get your car out of the parking lot at Denver International Airport without a credit card?
Well, beer is much more important. I mean, you understand this here. Beer and merch for the Broncos, much more important.
Unbelievable.
You can't buy anything at Newark Airport with cash. You could have $1,000 on you. And I had to get a drink through giving a bartender cash, and she bought me a drink on her credit card.
Jeez.
But it's amazing to me that the hot dog and the beer can only be sold on a credit card, yet you can get a stolen car out of the airport with quarters.
Yes, with what you can find in your couch. That's great. Security. I feel so safe now. Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate you. Have a great day. Oh my gosh. We're talking about those everyday aches and pains that you are going through. The idea of having to park out at the airport, trying to find the right lot. But you don't have to live every part of your life in pain. I'm talking about that physical pain. You're going to have to walk out to that concourse. You're going to have to lift those bags. And sometimes those are aches and pains that linger. But I have got a group that can help you deal with all of that daily pain you've been living your life in. I used to be just like you. I used to live my life in just a daily scale of pain. It was a matter of where we were going to be. I'm going to start at a 4, but some days it might be as high as an 8. Now, thanks to the team at Balance Wellspace, that's not my experience anymore. I want you to talk to the amazing team, Dr. Jen, Dr. Jess, everybody else, balancewellspace.com. Check them out online, balancewellspace.com. They have brand new offices in Lowry, right across from Hangar 2. And the reason it's important to you are 2 words: integrative medicine. The difference at Balance Wellspace is they have a whole bunch of different treatments they can go at you with, all under one roof. It's one-stop shopping, one-stop care. You go hang out with Balance Wellspace, you get trigger point injections, regenerative care, wave therapy, physical rehabilitation, neuropathic care, chiropractic care, and a whole bunch of other next-level Star Trek type treatments. And none of them are invasive. They're not cutting you open. They're not putting anything inside. They're not stitching you back up. This is about using your body's natural ability to heal and their medical science. Integrative medicine, all working together. And the coolest part is, because it's in one office, they talk about you regularly. They do a pain evaluation. They talk to you about what hurts. They do all the tests. And then they talk about your goals. Where do you want to be? What are the things you've stopped doing because of the pain in your life? And they're going to get you there. Every couple of weeks, they reevaluate where you are. They will make tweaks and changes to your care based on how you're responding and things that are working great, things that aren't working so great. When's the last time your medical team, the different doctors' offices that you travel to and you get treatments, I'm sure they're doing a fine job, but are they talking about you? Are they making sure that in each office, all the care is working together? When you get a group of people in a rowboat, y'all got to start rowing in the same direction or nothing's going to work. Do you know that all of your doctors are rowing in the same direction? That's the difference at Balance Wellspace. Reach out to Dr. Jess, Dr. Jess, Dr. Julie. They'll take care of you. Tell them you heard about him here on the Jeff and Bill Show, because like we're talking right now, I am regenerating the meniscus in my left knee. I have a horrible, horrible back problem. My lower back, it has disappeared since I've been working with them for the past few months. I want them to have the opportunity to make the change in your life they have made in mine. I'm doing things I never thought possible just a couple of years ago. I didn't think I'd ever be able to go back and hike in the mountains. I'm going up to do some house remodeling stuff over the weekend. Yeah, I got stuff where my back's going to have to put in work, but I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about medication. I'm not worried about recovery. Thanks to Balance Wellspace. Let them have the same opportunity to change your life like they have mine. Reach out to them, balancewellspace.com, balancewellspace.com. And when you do, tell them you heard about them here on the Jeff and Bill Show, because boy, does it help us out. And they're going to help you too.
Well, that's great to hear, but That is great to hear, Bill.
Yeah.
I'm very loud in my
You're very
ears. I
loud.
don't
There
know
you
if
go.
that's
No.
okay.
I
What's
have
up
this
with the
thing,
audio?
when I'm putting down the stuff, the notes, it has a tendency to make your voice go higher.
So I want to get into this next. Jenna Griswold has been investigated by a third party, and you'll never believe what they found. Yeah, you could probably believe what they found, but we'll get into this. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS. What did the Mr. Magoo Detective Agency find out about Jenna?
At this hour, I'm Christina Owayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories.
The Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, says she's not going to drop the civil fraud case against President Donald Trump, saying that presidents are not immune from civil litigation. This comes a month after Trump and his attorneys demanded that James drop the case for the greater good of the country. Trump was ordered to pay a historic $454 million judgment, which could be reversed on appeal after judges on a New York appeals court seemed open to the possibility. However, James digging in, saying that lawsuits, quote, may proceed while the president is in office and that they are now waiting for a decision on Trump's appeal. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell is reportedly doing well after falling and spraining his wrist while walking out of a GOP luncheon on Tuesday. The incident marking the latest in a series of medical events for him in recent years. Wyoming Senator John Barrasso, who was with him when it happened, just so happens to be a doctor and walked McConnell back to his office after the fall with no assistance. Barrasso saying McConnell had, quote, a small scratch. Medical staff were seen taking a wheelchair into McConnell's office just before a scheduled weekly news conference. McConnell, who was stepping down from his leadership post at the end of the year, did not attend that news conference.
That's what you need to know at this hour. In Dallas, Christina Owayo, Salem News Channel.
This is from our friends over at Colorado Politics. Jenna Griswold's office violated policy leading to voting equipment passwords leak. But mistake was unintentional. Mistake was just, it was just an accident. Do better next time, Jenna. Do better. Meanwhile, Tina Peters in prison, in part, not entirely, but in part, for doing the exact same thing. A third-party investigation into how voting equipment passwords were posted online concluded that the Secretary of State's office failed to review documents posting them online, but that the mistake was unintentional. A series of inadvertent and unforeseen events led to the public disclosure of the BIOS passwords, said investigator Baird Quinn of Baird Quinn LLC, apparently. However, the failure to review the posted document to ensure that non-public information would not be disclosed violates a Colorado information security policy on publicly accessible content issued by the Governor's Office of Information and Technology, the investigator said. The third-party investigator made 7 recommendations to minimize the risk of similar inadvertent disclosure in the future. So let me remind everybody what happened here, okay? Back in June, this document was posted online with information about voting machines, and in there was a hidden tab. All you had to do was click or right-click on it, reveal hidden tab, and in that hidden tab were all the passwords that allowed you to access the voting equipment. Now, nobody could access them directly with just that password. You had to be in person, at least they say so. You had to be in person, and this was one of 2 passwords you need to do that. But as Heidi Canales pointed out, a lot of these voting machines still connect to the internet. So not a lot of trust there with that. Anyways, this document sat online from June all the way till October when, through Stephanie Luck and some other people, they realized that this was there. Then they notified the Secretary of State's office, the Colorado Republican Party notified the media. And part of all this scandal was that for 5 days, the Secretary of State's office knew and didn't tell the county clerks. So anything could be done because they were afraid of a media frenzy, they said. So these passwords out there, for anybody to see for months, basically all summer, Secretary of State's office knew about it, did not notify the local county clerks until it became a media issue. There's been calls for Jenna Griswold to resign. There's anger and frustration with the county clerks, with Jenna Griswold and her handling of all this issue. And like I want to point out, there is a law in Colorado that even the inadvertent posting of these passwords online is a crime. And Tina Peters is sitting in prison in part because the BIOS passwords from Mesa County, even though she didn't post them, but because they were leaked to somebody and that other person posted them, she's in prison for it. Okay, so that's the background here. Now, this third-party investigator has 7 recommendations. All right, here they are. Number 1, instituting a policy prohibiting the use of hide functions for highly sensitive or confidential information within documents. Yeah, that seems pretty. No hidey. No, not even an option. Can't even hide anything. That's 1. Number 2, establishing a requirement that all passwords of any kind, whether they be individual user login credentials or password information, such as the BIOS passwords, be kept only in a password safe, unless an exception to that policy is granted in writing. So we don't put BIOS passwords in Excel docs. We probably shouldn't do that. Number 3, requiring better training on the data protection features of the computer software programs used on a daily basis, such as Microsoft Excel and Word. Number 4, updating the acceptable use computer policy so that the policy on the use of the password safe and the policy on creating and managing passwords are single standalone policies rather than policies contained at various places within the user ID and password selection. Requiring employees, number 5, to review their password policies every year. Great. That sounds like a basic HR thing that they're now going to have to do. Number 6, creating a substantive new review process for the elections division, possibly other divisions, for web requests involving posting documents on the department's website. And then number 7, reviewing the transition and exit process for departing employees. In all of this, still to this day, Jenna Griswold has a job. It's just, I know Beth McCann and Denver's investigating her. The audit that was supposed to take place at the legislative committee that Barb Kirkmeyer joined us to talk about, that was denied by the Democrats. So you're not going to have a joint budget committee audit of the processes of the Secretary of State. So the Democrats have decided we're not going to audit legislatively Jenna Griswold's office. And this just basically said, we're going to change things, but do better next time, Jenna. Do better next time. Do you think Jenna Griswold belongs in jail?
Ooh, jail? Probably not. But in the office still, I would say no. I don't think, because this seems to be ridiculously lax. And, with the investigation, it did seem to hinge on intent. And that is, for me, the differentiating factor between her and Tina. And I understand the idea of them being leaked is a crime regardless. So yeah, and yes, but should it be necessarily a crime that she goes to jail or prison for? I don't see that necessarily. Removal from office, possibly a fine, things like that seem more appropriate in this case, because I'm not certain that her occupying a cell is the same thing as Tina Peters occupying a cell, because Tina did it intentionally. And even though the passwords were that Tina got a hold of were eventually leaked online, she is the mechanism for how those things were taken illegally. Not an accident or mismanagement per se. And they did say that in the thing I found most interesting, just in the brief reading I was doing, was that the IT person was shockingly awful at their job, and they were new in the job.
Shocking.
Yeah, and
really?
all they did is they just clicked approve when the request came through. They didn't evaluate the document at all. And the problem being that before, from my understanding...
It's like when you have to go through the HR training, you're just pressing the button.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And the weird part for me, and this kind of shows some huge failures inside of our governmental system, and I would broad brush this across all systems, because we see this kind of lackadaisical attention to detail many times in our government systems. And so I am willing to paint this with a broad brush, is if you're in the private corporate world and there is enough people in your company, like, more than 100, 150 or so, you probably have some sort of regular training on cybersecurity, etc. I get regular training from Salem and regular training from my other positions. And oddly, they contract the same company, but we paid for different levels. But that's a whole different story. But there's procedures and things you do, and you are always talking about exposure and what documents you have and how people can access systems. So that's done regularly inside of the corporate world. And what I'm shocked with is it didn't seem that this took place. And the person in the IT department said that they weren't accurately trained on this system. So the government put someone in the job without accurately training them on the IT procedures. So then when they clicked approve, they didn't do their job, which again, lots of questions about it. And I'm not going to hang that jacket necessarily on Jenna, but I will put it partially on her because she does have to manage the office and she should know more of these things.
The law she helped pass does not give any excuse for intent. None of that stuff. It is, if your office that you're overseeing results in the posting of these passwords online, you are to be held criminally liable.
Yeah. And so I'm okay again with her, but I don't think that putting her in a jail cell per se accomplishes the same thing that it does with Tina, because I think they have done things to a different level. But should it look at censure, removal, and other punishments? If it's fines, sure. And if it's community service and a bunch of other stuff, yeah, I'm okay with that. I just don't think we're served by her necessarily in a prison cell versus
What
Tina.
do you think? Give us a call, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. We'll get to the phones in just a second. I want to talk to you about my friends over at the Black Eyed Pea of Colorado, locally owned and operated by Steve and Michelle. They are wonderful, and I love this restaurant. It's homestyle cooking worth going out for. My kids love it. My parents love it. It's great. You can get the whole 3 generations together, and with 8 locations, there's sure to be one near you. When's the last time you took the family to eat at the Black Eyed Pea? They've got daily specials. They've got senior discounts. Be sure to check out some of their new menu items. The stuffed spuds, 8 different and delicious baked potatoes. Here's just a few. The chopped steak spud, the sweet pork spud, the meatloaf stuffed spud, and the broccoli and cheese stuffed spud. There's more. Everyone in your party's sure to find a favorite. Make your dinner party, rehearsal dinner, wedding reception, or company event a success with Black Eyed Pea Catering. And no matter what the occasion, Black Eyed Pea gift cards are always great. Whether you purchase them for your spouse, birthday favors, or holiday presents, they have you covered. I love everything about this restaurant, and I know you will as well. Keep it in Colorado and visit the Black Eyed Pea near you. We'll continue with the Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
So we're talking Jenna Griswold because at least one of the investigations has come out and it just said, I don't know, Jenna, yeah, you did violate policies here by the leaking of the passwords to voting equipment, but gosh, sure, golly, Jenna, that mistake was unintentional, and I sure hope you do better next time. Problem is, she helped pass a law that said even the unintentional posting of passwords online should result in criminal penalties. But Democrats down at the Colorado State Capitol and the Joint Budget Committee going, yeah, I don't think we're going to audit Jenna here. This one investigation going, do better next time. Jenna, now there's still a district attorney investigation out there, but she is incredible to survive these. Just total incompetence. And yet just keeps on going. Let's go to the phone lines. Francis Golden. Good morning, Francis. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Hey, guys. How's it going? Hey. Okay, I see a parallel here a little bit between the investigation with Biden and the classified documents and Trump and the classified document case and Jenna and this. Because as I recall, basically the investigation of Biden concluded that basically he's just too old and dottery to even know that he was doing anything wrong at this point.
Yep.
And I think that whereas Trump was, I mean, he intentionally hid documents. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah. And remember, he refused to give them back, and that's what he was charged
correct.
for. He was not charged for possession. He was charged for the refusal to give them back, and that's all that Jack Smith had charged him for, was the stack of documents that he refused to return to the archives. Yeah.
I wonder whatever became of the little pool boy or cabana boy or whatever that took the die for him. I wonder whatever. There's a small short story there somewhere, but this is more or less how I view the Jenna Griswold thing versus the Tina Peters thing. Is that, yeah, Jenna's just too incompetent, or people in her office are, or what I still contend happened is that Jenna, being Jenna and making everybody's skin crawl and being a horrible leader, basically upset people internally, so that somebody stuck the internal link in one of these things and then ratted her out. I still think there's a story there too. There's a scratch and sniff there that could be smelled, I think. But you know, yeah, I mean, this is kind of the same basic conclusion, is that you got somebody who is too incompetent to know otherwise, and therefore we leave it at the roadside.
And Colorado voters are just stuck dealing with it. Francis, I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. Always great to hear from Francis. His line's open, by the way. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
It is 8 a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt. I am not using marijuana, despite some callers' thoughts.
Yeah, that was so weird. Yeah.
Apparently, I laughed too much. Is
Yeah.
one indicator.
Yes.
Having
Something
too much
about
fun.
eyes or something. That's so weird.
I'm filled with the Holy Spirit, not with.
Dude waited for 15 minutes, too. Just so strange. So strange that we have. But again, he said it was his day off. So, I guess if you have extra
What
time.
do you do with your day off?
Yeah.
Prank phone call conservative talk radio hosts.
Yeah, that's great.
Tell them they look stoned.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
You can look at us. By the way, Adam came in and
that's
goes,
not a good idea.
That's quite a promotion for Rumble.
Yeah, exactly. You look like you're on drugs.
I'm watching you on Rumble, YouTube, and X, and you look stoned.
Yeah. Odd choice at the Rumble, too. That's nice. It's kind of smaller. Of the
There he
three.
is.
Yeah.
Watching us. You too can watch and join the debate. Does El Jefe look stoned?
So weird. Oh, well.
But we are kicking off. We got a whole nother hour planned for you. We're going to dive into this one from the Denver Post. Colorado's economy set the pace for years. Unfortunately, now it's in the tank. We were like number 5 forever. We were ranked among the top 6 states nationally on important economic issues, GDP growth, employment, labor force, all that stuff. And now we're number 41.
Wow, that's quite a drop. That's a huge drop.
Thank you. Thank you to the progressives who decided to take a great state and just flush it down the toilet. And there's so many other reasons why Colorado is suffering right now. But this one, GDP, economic growth, labor force, all that stuff, we're struggling there as well. We'll get to this. But first, news and comment with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, Jeff and Billy. 23 and sunny in Denver, expecting a high of 50 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story, this is funny. Karine Jean-Pierre basically warned DJT not to mess the economy up because they're handing him a great one.
Over the last 4 years, the president has rejected trickle-down economics and written a new economic playbook that builds the economy from the middle out and bottom up, not the top down. This is a strong foundation for years to come. As many of you have reported, including the Associated Press, Trump will inherit an economy primed for growth.
Jeez. Does she always have a cold? She always sounds like she needs to blow her nose. Have you ever noticed that? She's always sick. Is it because she's always around the press guys and
the old
press women,
and the old dude
journalists? And the old dude, yeah, that's true.
It's basically a nursing home. The White House is a nursing home, and just who knows
that's right.
what's going through it right now. And then Hunter comes by, and all the diseases he's carrying.
Yeah, no kidding. And bags of stuff. I don't know what's in it.
Did you see that Babylon Bee headline that was like, Hunter asked if he can, since he's been pardoned, if he could get his baggie of cocaine back?
No, I didn't see that one. That's good. I love it. Hey, DJT is also reportedly being warned by Sleazy Joe about national security issues. In a new classified memo, Reuters says the document was described to reporters today in general terms, but has not been independently reviewed. The national security memo reportedly states that Russia is giving fighter jets, missile defense, and space technology to Iran in exchange for helping Russia in its fight against Ukraine. All right, DJT will figure this out and get it all straight, hopefully, here in the next month and a half. Can't wait. but anything's possible until then. Mel Gibson at Mar-a-Lago last night and talked about the wolves in sheep's clothing who prey on the innocent and children, not only in Hollywood, but on the border, and also celebrating, hopefully, the end of Marxism.
I hope in the next 4 years, we can get back some of that precious commodity that this country has. That commodity called freedom, all right? So, and it's like, we'll see how much this administration can claw back from the Philistines. Okay, thank you very much.
Denver's district attorney is supporting a letter asking Sleepy Joe to commute the sentences of all current federal death row inmates. DA Beth McCann is one of more than 36 other current or former members of the criminal justice system who signed the letter last month. The group says they understand why those inmates were sentenced to death, but add that the way the death penalty has been carried out in the U.S. raises serious concerns. They say granting clemency will advance public trust in the legal system. The man accused of murdering the United Healthcare CEO is challenging his extradition to New York. Luigi Mangione appeared in a Pennsylvania courtroom Tuesday and was ordered to remain being held without bail. Mangione is accused of fatally shooting United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, of course, on a Manhattan street last week. His attorney, Thomas Dickey.
You can't rush to judgment in this case or any case, because any one of you all, if you're charged with a crime or any of your family members or loved ones, you don't want anybody rushing to those judgments. So if you believe in America and that presumption of innocence, then you cannot rush to judgment.
Until more is known about drones seen flying around New Jersey for more than 3 weeks, the state lawmaker is calling for a ban on all drones. John Bramnick is demanding a ban over what Florham Park's mayor is referring to as nefarious activity by large drones seen airborne in groups, often near sensitive locations. Meantime, the FBI is asking people to send them information so they can learn how to spy on us more before cash gets in there to clean it up. It's 21 in North Glen, 20 in Littleton, 23 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. It's Wednesday morning. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Partly cloudy skies and a little bit warmer. Temperatures will make the upper 40s and low 50s in Denver today, upper 20s tonight. Temperatures upper 40s and lower 50s on Thursday, 20s Thursday night. Cloudy on Friday, a bit cooler as a weak disturbance comes through. Maybe a couple of flurries. Temperatures on Friday, 40s, 20s Friday night. Back to the 50s for Saturday and Sunday, trending colder with the front moving in Sunday night and into the day on Monday. I'm day weather meteorologist Don Day.
Well, Colorado's descent under progressive leadership continues. This from the Denver Post. Colorado's economy set the pace for years. Now it's playing catch up. Colorado's economy was a top performer coming out of the Great Recession and the years that followed. And while it should continue to grow next year, signs of fatigue were hard to miss this year as it veered way off course. Between 2008 and 2023, Colorado ranked among top 6 states nationally on important measures from GDP growth to employment, labor force gains to rising personal incomes and home price appreciation, according to the 2025 Colorado Business Economic Outlook from the University of Colorado Boulder's Lead School of Business. On the last one, Colorado led the nation with an average annual home price appreciation of nearly 6% over the prior 15 years, a period that included the housing bust. Now, it ranks 49th, which may not be such a bad thing, they say, given the heavy toll of the deterioration in housing affordability that has taken on many residents, not to mention the state's attractiveness to outsiders. The state's economic underperformance became noticeable this decade, but initially it could be written off as a fallout from the pandemic. Just how far the state has veered off course, however, has become harder to deny this year. Economic growth measured by state GDP went from 5th best in the nation over the prior 15 years to 41st this year. Personal income growth, a driver of rising living standards, went from 3rd best in the nation to 39th. Colorado has gone from top notch to average on most measures and below average on a few. What do you think happened, Billy?
Oh, there are a number of things. One, housing prices, of course, stink, and that's going to really put a drag on individuals moving here, individuals being employed here, and also your personal income. That's really gonna hurt it. We've seen some stagnation as far as wage increases, and things became more expensive in the state. And when things become more expensive, people choose to go elsewhere as far as to set up their businesses and to have their families. A friend of the show, George Brockler, did talk about it on the air here, where his brother, they were at a point where with home ownership and what they could buy and employment, it was better in Minnesota. And so they picked up the family and they went to Minnesota. I have members of my own family that have moved out of the state in the last 2 years. The large driving force was housing prices. The idea of not being able to afford a home here. My own kids have talked about whether or not they will be able to have a full-time job, be employed, and afford a house. My 18-year-old daughter, who is gainfully employed by one of these state school systems, and was lamenting the size of her paycheck based on cost of living. Now, she lives with us, but we have been worksheeting what things look like and types of bills and things that you have out there. And it's just too expensive. It is too expensive for her. She's looking at this going, I can't even move out with a roommate. I can't move out with 2 roommates. That is where they are. And I think there are a number of other things. I also think that regulations on businesses played a part into it as well. So yeah, the big question I've got is, I'm not sure, I don't know if this is fair or not, but what do you think the GOP would have done differently? Could they have prevented this slide? Yeah. If it's the liberal thing, then what would the prevention be?
Regulations definitely has a role in it. And I remember working for an industry. I worked in education, and there were so many regulations, and this came from federal as well, that we were a small Christian college. We're like, we just need to hire somebody full time to deal with this stuff. Yeah. I mean, and so that costs the institution to try to manage all these regulations that are coming down, because then if you don't do it, you end up getting fined. And it's just, you're spending a tremendous amount of time and energy and resources dealing with it.
On a side note, that's what I heard from somebody in the healthcare industry, that part of the reason our healthcare costs are rising is because of some of the administrative costs in having to hire so many people in order to make sure their offices are under compliance. They said if you go to somewhere like England, Spain, France, you know what they don't have in the office? 6 secretaries. Yeah, right. All doing work. That they don't have that there.
Do
so
that.
I was like, I didn't even think of that. But continue
so,
about the idea of
look,
regulations.
You and I grew up in Colorado. You're a native, I'm a native.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk 90s Colorado. It was generally pretty red, but you had blue popped up, right? You had Roy Romer. This was not Texas. It was not red dominate, but it was a free state. It was a Western state. And since essentially 2008, Barack Obama, Mile High Stadium, Greek columns, 80,000 people, right? That, for me, that was the moment that the state shifted. I know pot has some role in it as well, but it was brilliant. The Democrats putting Barack Obama and investing into Colorado back in 2008 was very smart, because prior to that, it was a red state. You had Bush get elected both times. You had Bill Owens. You had Republican dominance down at the state capitol. So 2008, it begins to shift. And I think the deal that was made, the devil's deal that was made, was we'll hand you pot. We'll hand you unrestricted abortion. We'll give you the social issues. We'll no longer have Colorado Springs running the social issues. Because if you remember back in the 90s, it was focused on the family and Dobson. And and the big church, New Life down there. He was the president of the National Association of Evangelicals. Like, you had this powerhouse in Colorado Springs that's just like gone entirely now. Now Republicans can't win. They lose by 15 points in this state. Okay. And I think part of the deal was made was, we'll give you the social issues in a natural libertarian state, but you're going to give up a lot of freedom in business. You're going to end up with a tax on Tabor. You're going to end up with overregulation. You're going to end up with the destruction of oil and gas. And then we're going to go after guns. Do you remember when we used to recall the crud out of any Democrat that would even throw up a gun bill? Now they get to pass it. So it was an incremental step. The devil's deal was on the social issues. Then you got the full weight of the progressive worldview around government regulations, energy, climate, oil and gas, all that stuff. Colorado, Denver used to be, all those buildings downtown, they used to just be filled with oil and gas companies. I remember talking to guys here in the 70s and 80s that were like, we rolled out a map and every building was a different oil and gas company in Colorado. In downtown Denver. That's all gone. Now you have minimum wage wrecking the city of Denver. Businesses don't want to be there. You have crime. It's all fallen apart. And we've basically fallen into this progressive death spiral where everything gets more expensive because we have these like crazy special projects we want to pay for. $1.9 billion for homeless. $1.9 billion for the homeless. So you end up in this progressive death spiral where you're taxing the crud out of your producers in order to pay for these progressive ideals. Meanwhile, the things you should be doing, like fixing roads and dealing with crime, they're never being dealt with. So these communities just continue to get crappier and crappier and crappier. And you look like San Francisco, where everything is expensive, taxes are really high, and nobody wants to visit your communities anymore because they're just so crime ridden. That's what I think happened. You can see I'm fired up over it. But yeah. That's because this is not the state I grew up in. This is a totally different state now. And you got to end the single party dominance. And you might have to give up on some of the social issues. Republicans believe in the sanctity of life. I'm sorry. That shouldn't change. And the idea that we're just going to allow babies to be killed at 9 months and Dr. Hearn and Boulder to do all that stuff in order so we can live this progressive life that's screwing over the state with all of the regulations and attacking our industries, also that we can have abortion. That, like, we're willing to watch the state descend for that issue. I just think that the voters of Colorado got to give a little bit on it and go, you know what? Republicans can manage cities better. Having single party dominance down at the state capitol is not good for us. I may not agree with Republicans on all abortion issues, but I can't just turn the state over to Democrats over and over and over again. All right, let's go to the phone lines. We'll get to Jim in just a second. I do want to talk to you about my friend Dan Kaplis and Dan Kaplis Law, who I think could actually turn the state around. I'd love to see this guy run for governor. Dan suggests you should choose a lawyer who shares your values because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. He's pro-life, he's pro-family, he's pro-America. He's the son of a police officer and a former seminarian who's dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. But he's more than just a great guy with solid values. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. He's a real winner in the courtroom. Listen to this. He's also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. So if you hire Dan Kaplis in your injury case, you're walking into the court with seriously like the maverick, the guy who's going to win for you. Dan Kaplis Law is so trusted that they're the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Kaplis Law, a serious firm. For serious cases, Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, here's his phone number, 303-770-5551. That's 303-770-5551, or just hit dankaplislaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S law.com. Let's go to Jim in Denver. Jim, Colorado. Economy used to set the pace. Now it's in the tank. What do you think?
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, I've purchased many houses during the downturns that we used to have in Colorado. Colorado used to have severe swings and cycles based upon the energy companies and the energy prices crashing, from the 50s through the 2000s. It doesn't happen any longer. The government has stepped in and made sure that we don't have these big crashes. The oil companies, they would go shift back and forth between here and Alberta and Houston. That really doesn't happen that much any longer. And now because of it, the young people have pretty much stopped coming to Colorado because they just can't afford to have children and a family and live here. They just can't do it anymore. So we used to exchange our old people for young people on a regular cycle to cycle basis. But now the young people just can't afford to live here anymore. So we're setting ourselves up for future problems because the free markets have been scoured out of Colorado. It's government everything.
Jim, to your point, so like Colorado used to be this kind of really cool place where you would go in your 20s, right?
Yeah.
You'd show up, you got the ski, you got the rafting, you got the hiking, mountain climbing, rock climbing, all that stuff, right? It was a ton of fun. We're going to talk about this later this week, but single day lift ticket prices have gone up 2,300%.
So well, there's no more mom and pop ski areas. It's
no.
Okay?
And they've geared the entire industry to folks that fly into Eagle on their private jets. And so you can't even afford to take your kids skiing anymore.
And they brought in immigrants in mass to service
the
corporations. Okay. And it's not it's not the government that brought these people in. It's the corporations that brought these people in. Go to Disney. See how many American citizens are cleaning the rooms in Disney. Okay. This country has changed and Colorado has also changed. Okay. Now, a lot of Colorado residents have moved to Texas. And Texas has got some big challenges coming up if these retaliatory tariffs occur. Texas was benefited the most from NAFTA and illegal immigration. Now, if that's going to reverse, Texas might be in the toilet for a period of time with these new policies that look to be in front of us.
Jim, that's going to be interesting to watch. Really appreciate the call.
Will.
Jim's line is open. Give us a call at 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971. Let's go to Jay and Sterling. Good morning, Jay. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Morning.
Good morning, you guys. Thanks for all that you do. The prosperity, that's the reason why a kid goes to school. That's the reason why we start our businesses. That's the whole reason and all this stuff. Why a kid does all these things or why we teach our kids to do these things. But now we're trying to kill prosperity. Look at what they're doing. You want to start a business. Now they're going after businesses. That is the whole entrepreneurship of the whole idea of the American way. Now, when they start attacking that, it stems all the way back down through. You don't have to be a super genius or Einstein to understand that.
And then to use the power of government to
punish us,
to not only punish you guys, but to reward the big corporations that put the money into the lobbying and into the campaigns to secure business deals for them. I mean, this is one of the things that I think is really important for the American people to understand. Big business figured out that they could wield the power of government to affect their businesses, get money from taxpayers, but then also push out smaller businesses with overburdening regulations, all that stuff. That absolutely. I mean, it's like
therefore you build that all up, and then you got so many regulations, and as all those people do is sit there and try to figure out how they can regulate us farmers, regulate our trucking companies, regulate our if you had a restaurant, regulate that. That's all they sit around and do is try to figure out a way to regulate us that have worked our tails off or somebody that has to get there to that point. I understand regulations need to be in play. I get that. Speed limits, whatever have you. I understand that. But these people sit in these offices trying to figure out how they can just put more pressure on you instead of letting being the free market be the free market.
Well, they're not, look, they're not going, how do we put more pressure on people? Here's what happens down at the Colorado State Capitol, okay? This is really important for people to understand who, if you haven't been in the industry, okay? So a big business with a lot of money wants to wield the power of the government to force out its competitors in order to make more money. So they hire a team of lobbyists.
Like Walmart, that's why.
Yeah, exactly. So they hire a team of lobbyists. These lobbyists actually write the bills, okay? Lawmakers, your friend that got elected state rep in your neighborhood has no idea what they're doing, okay? A professional lobbyist, and this is why big law firms starting out here in Colorado, they're starting out lobbyists make $250,000 a year. Okay.
You gotta be kidding.
Nope. So they go down and they write these bills. Okay. They come up with then they go to the fundraisers. Okay. And they go,
so what is a lobbyist? So do they, I'm asking a stupid question.
No, it's fine.
I don't know. So a lobbyist, do they have like a lobbyist, firm? So could I be a lobbyist? Could you be a lobbyist?
You have to register.
You have to register.
You have to register, but you don't have to have a law degree. Most of them do. But Jay, let's put you in this example, okay? Jay, you're a business owner, so you come to me and you go, Jeff, I've got competitors in the onion business, for instance, and I need to make sure that these smaller guys have to abide by so many rules that they can't operate, and so it's gonna open up more opportunity for me because I'm more streamlined. So I want to put into law. I went to a law that if you become an onion grower, you have to now fill out all these forms and you have to abide by all these rules. And I'm going to. And so as a lobbyist, I'll sit down and go, okay, well, tell me what rules will make it easier for your business to flourish and make it harder for your competitors. Okay. And then we'll sit down and we'll write the rules here. Then I'm going to go to the State House fundraiser and I'm going to work the room there. And I'm going to talk to folks. I'm going to go, hey, Jim Bob, we think you'd be great as an elected official. We're going to max out to your campaign. I don't know what that is. $5,000, $10,000. And when you get in, let's talk. Let's talk. Now, I can't do quid pro quo. I can't go, I expect because of this check that you're going to do what I tell you to do. But hey, buddy, here's $5,000 for your campaign. When I call in January, let's have a conversation. Absolutely, Jim Bob's going to take that call in January. Okay, then I'm not kidding you, Jay. These guys write the actual bill. Okay, they sit down, they write these lobbyists, write the bill.
And write the actual bill.
They actually bill.
It's a done deal. So therefore, each person knows exactly what they're going to be getting if they do this, A, B, and C or D, and then they get a check for it. Now, how is it? So it's a true buddy system.
It's a true buddy system. Then you get in, and I remember I talked to. We were debating this bill. I think it was an abortion bill or something down there. And I asked Hugh McKean, I said, Hugh, do you even call the Democrats? He's like, no, Democrats don't even know the bill that they're running. I call the lobbyists and I negotiate amendments with the lobbyists. Okay. So you have these, you have these lobbyists, they hand the bill, the lawmaker puts his name on it. The lawmaker knows they're already going to vote on it. They don't even know the details in the bill. They're not negotiating the amendments. They then run through the committee. They practice, or they have these fake public hearings where people can come talk about it, but they already know how they're going to vote. And that's the system that exists down there.
This goes a lot deeper than I thought.
So, Jay, look, an elected official is a bag man for special interest groups in politics. Their job is to simply deliver bills that have been written by somebody else because they accepted campaign contributions. That is how government works.
So how do we, the people, have any control over anything? or how are we supposed to respect them in any manner or disability?
Brother, that is the $1 million question. I think in part that's why Donald Trump got elected, is because people are just tired of these types of systems and the quid pro quo that goes on. And I mean, if you go to Washington, D.C., the wealthiest zip code in America, Jay, is in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, well, that's why I voted for Trump, because he's not a politician. He's a businessman. He understands logic. He understands the civil things about actual functional life and what everybody has to live through, go through, whatever have you.
Jim,
whether it be selling corn, whether it be selling pancakes at the Waffle House, whether it be running a business of any sort. He understands that, and that's why we all elected him.
And he does understand, and he understands the importance of lobbyists. That's why so far he has suggested and Jim, that's why he suggested 3 former lobbyists inside of his cabinet so far. Susan Wiles, chief of staff, former lobbyist at Ballard. Same thing for Pam Bionde. Last 6 years, she was a paid professional lobbyist. Sean Duffy, paid professional lobbyist. He's putting them in his cabinet. He is putting his attorney general that has lobbied for major corporations. His attorney general nominee spent the last 6 years lobbying for major corporations in this country. And now she's the one that's going to find the government corruption. Sure. Yeah. He's putting lobbyists in power positions. Yeah.
Hey, you're a wise man. Do you think that we're going to bring back production, like as far as
no
car making, as far as plastic making, as far as industries of that nature? Like,
no, I think there are opportunities. No, I think there are opportunities, but the economy is a scale. Donald Trump doesn't understand the idea
of tariffs. With the tariffs,
no.
If we put all these tariffs on, then manufacturers should come back.
No, no, it shouldn't. And it won't happen because Donald Trump is looking at this, in my opinion, as bilateral trade. He's only viewing our trading partner and the U.S. as the only economies and countries in the world. And what I mean by that is he's saying that if we put huge tariffs on these countries like China, the manufacturing will come to the U.S. Nope. It's going to go to Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia. That's where it's going to go because they can get the same. No. And here's the reason why, Jim. There's the reason why. They can have the same economic advantages in those countries without the tariffs. They still get the low production cost and they get the advantages there while still
it's not going to China. Jay, I really appreciate the call. We're just running out of time here. We'll get to some of the others. We got full phone lines coming in. Feel free to join us, 303-696-1971. Look, are you going to start the new year dealing with the same old joint pain, losing sleep, not able to take walks, or do what you love because of your knees and your hips? Let's not start the year off this way. Take action now to get the pain relief you deserve. All you got to do is call QC Kinetics now and say goodbye to shoulder and back pain. QC Kinetics are local medical professionals, and they're waiting for you. They have advanced protocols in regenerative medicine that have helped tens of thousands of people, and I'm talking about lasting relief, okay? So this is not steroids. This is not drugs. This is not surgery. This is using your own body's healing principles. And we have Joel in our office does it. They draw a little bit of blood. They get the good part of the plasma. They then re-inject it, and your body heals. So you don't have to deal with these achy joints and pain pills. And most importantly, you don't have to go through surgery, which takes half a year to recover from. Okay? This is all healing properties in your own body. So find out if all natural regenerative medicine is right for you. All you have to do is call QC Kinetics. The consultation is totally free. And you can use HSA and FSA dollars. Live your best life in 2025. Call 303-900-8986. That's 303-900-8986 with locations in Aurora, Superior, Highlands Ranch, and Colorado Springs. We'll continue with the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show, a 2025 Colorado Business Economic Outlook from the University of Colorado Boulder Reed School of Business. On this, economic growth is measured by state GDP, went from 5th best in the nation over the prior 15 years to 41st this year. Personal income growth here in Colorado, a driver of rising living standards, went from 3rd best in the nation to 39th. Colorado has gone from top notch to average on most measures and below average on a few, the Denver Post reports. Why? I told you my reasoning. We used to be a balanced state, red leaning. We're now deep blue progressive. We're overly regulated. All of our tax dollars go to these special projects. And because you have single party government rule, it's the special interests that have their field day because they don't have to worry about, they know exactly who to invest in. Let's go to the phone lines. Aaron, Denver, good morning. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Well, Jeff, elections have consequences. You know that, Jeff. And the thing is, you have a dysfunctional GOP in Santa Cruz. You got a dysfunctional GOP in California. You're right. Denver has turned into a version of California. San Francisco is an S-hole. And I'm sure you've been down to downtown Denver. I've been downtown Denver, not recently. I mean, downtown Denver is a mess. It's an S-hole. And the thing is, Jeff, the shutdowns were a disaster. I have a good friend of mine. He used to own a cleaning business. He had contracts for cleaning all the downtown buildings in downtown Denver. He had a business, a great business. He had that business for years. The shutdown, I talked to him this summer. Say, hey man, how's your business? He said, man, Aaron, the shutdown, when they shut down the businesses instead of it wiped them out. It cleaned them out, Jeff. And there was a great restaurant that I went to off of Colfax. Made fantastic Greek food. The shutdown wiped that business out. The shutdowns were just...
Now, Aaron, I got to ask you, though. So, I mean, we all saw it with Gavin Newsom where, you know, he's telling people shutting down all these restaurants and then going out to Laundry, this very nice French restaurant, to enjoy food. The hypocrisy was so thick, they led an entire recall effort against Gavin Newsom, and he was just reelected.
Yeah, but I would say, as far as points of information, those countries and areas that actually followed lockdown recommendations and did contact testing and tracing came out of it much better than the haphazard, ridiculous nature of what we did. And one thing that is true, the countries and areas that did not lock down did not fare better based on the same level of outbreak that we had here. So the idea that if we would have just left everything open, and that would not have solved the problem.
I disagree, but part of the problem in Colorado was you just had picking and choosing, oftentimes based upon lobbyists. Yes.
Yeah,
what
but
were
open
critical
contact,
businesses?
But open contact
what
didn't
were
prevent
not critical
spread.
businesses? All that stuff. That was just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, you had liquor stores open. You had Walmart open, but small businesses were shut down. I mean, that was ridiculous.
Oh, again,
and of course,
we mismanaged it tremendously.
Because Aaron,
but
who was writing the checks to these campaigns? That was, I mean, everything I was just explaining in the last segment.
Oh, I mean, the whole thing was just so. Thinking about my friends and the restaurant that I normally attend, and small business were definitely shut down, affected by this. The shutdown that had a big effect on the economy. It still has a big effect even to this day.
Yeah, but leaving it open isn't the better choice. That would have led to more, in my opinion, more detrimental consequences, and that would include more infections, that would include more deaths, that would include more hospitalizations. So the idea of just ignoring it, and as Trump said, because remember, in the Trump administration during the first few months, he said it was just going to disappear in the spring, like magic. It was going to go away. That didn't happen.
Aaron, really appreciate the phone call. Thanks so much. Aaron's line will be open 303-696-1971. Look, if you're losing your hair, you need a simple solution that works. You want the best modern technology, top-rated physicians, something that's guaranteed to work. Gentlemen, You need Dr. Tanya Pauls and her team at Advanced Hair. They've completely redefined hair restoration, from the experience itself to their unmatched results. I've had very close family members get their hair done, and it totally changed their life. It brought back a youthfulness and energy. I mean, in every aspect of their life got better because they got their hair done with Advanced Hair Restoration. So you got a receding hairline, bald spot, or thinning hair, address them all with Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment in a calm, relaxed environment with the most experienced professionals. Advanced Hair has performed tens of thousands of these breakthrough treatments, and get this, your own natural hair begins to regrow the very next day. No one in Denver can offer anything like the advanced FUE found at Advanced Hair, and I highly recommend their team. It starts with your free consultation. Call 720-459-HAIR, 720-459-HAIR. If you qualify, you'll get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Refine your hairline with the team that's redefined hair restoration. 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com. We'll continue with the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Things not going well for the economy here in Colorado. We used to be really at the top there. This is a report from the Denver Post writing about a 2025 Colorado Business Economic Outlook from the University of Colorado Boulder.
However,
go ahead.
I was going to say that for our listeners that feel like they are running harder on the economic treadmill and they seem to be falling behind, you're right. It's absolutely what this said.
Way
You're absolutely
to
right.
summarize. Way to summarize. That was great. Let's go to the phone lines. Evan, Denver. Good morning, Evan.
Yeah, I don't always catch the show. It's always good when I do.
Great.
I've kind of been trying to figure out what's been going on here. But first question I would ask again is, how much did we spend in Denver to house the illegal homeless?
Yeah,
a lot.
Too much money.
I mean, $1.9 billion over 2 years.
Yeah, and the thing for me is,
1.9 billion.
yeah,
The
and the
last
thing,
number I heard was like 365 million.
It's much harder than that. And Evan, the
number.
thing that you should be worried about the most is during a recent audit, about 38 to 40% of the money, they have no idea where it went. They can't account for it because their accounting system that they put in place was so bad.
They're literally just approving straight up invoices.
Yeah, if you would send them an invoice, they probably would have paid you, regardless of whether or not you'd done anything at all, because they didn't check.
So, Evan, send in an invoice. Not that I'm asking you to send in an invoice, but you probably could have.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Evan. Sounds like DOD.
Yes.
Right. Sounds like DOD. My only other comment is, when I first came here under Governor Love, everything ran pretty smoothly. It's steadily gone downhill from there. All my friends are going either to Texas or Florida. That's all I can say.
Yeah, Evan, you're not alone on that.
No,
you
you're
are
not.
Definitely not
Evan,
alone.
you are not alone. And Frank, we'll get to it here in a second, but I'll take a moment to talk to you all about Balanced Well Space. You've heard me complain about a lot of pain in my life. I had been going through daily pain. It was not a matter of if I was going to hurt. It was just a matter of how much I was going to hurt. That is until I connected with the team at Balanced Well Space. They have changed my life. Let me explain to you what it's about. Integrative medicine. At Balanced Well Space, they have a whole bunch of different treatments available to you, all under one roof. You're not bouncing around going from doctor's office to doctor's office to doctor's office throughout the week. They do a personal pain evaluation. They then do some tests. They talk to you about what hurts and then where your goals are. What are the things you've stopped doing because of the constant pain in your life? There were things I stopped doing, and now I'm back doing it again. I was riding a bike before it got all, snowy and yucky. And that's something I hadn't been able to do in a while because the pain in my lower back wouldn't allow me to sit on the bike seat for a long time because of my sciatica. That is gone. I feel like they've rolled the clock back decades on where I am based on my level of pain. I used to be at about a 4 on a daily basis minimum. Now I'm at a 0. As we're talking, I'm regenerating the meniscus in my left knee. This is the difference. Integrative medicine. You can experience chiropractic care and neuropathic care, physical rehabilitation, wave therapy, regenerative care, trigger point injections, and a whole bunch of cutting-edge Star Trek level stuff that you really just got to be seen to be believed. The cool thing is, it's all non-invasive. They're not cutting you open, they're not stitching it back together, they're not putting pieces into you. They're just focused on your pain, and every couple of weeks, they do a reevaluation. They ask you where you are, they do some more tests, and they reevaluate the care to make sure you're getting to where you need to go. It's the idea of being in a boat and all your doctors, all your care rowing in the same direction. That's what you need. You probably don't have that in your life right now. That's why Balanced Well Space can make a difference. I want you to talk to Dr. Julie, Dr. Jess, the team that has made such a difference in my life, because I know they can do it for you as well. Reach out to them. Brand new offices in Lowry, right across from Hangar 2, and plenty of parking. And that is oh so important to me. And I bet it's important to you as well. Check them out, balancedwellspace.com, balancedwellspace.com. And when you do, tell me you heard about them here on the Jeff and Bill Show, because it helps us out as well. I know they can help you.
That's great to hear, Bill. Let's go to Frank, Denver. Good morning, Frank. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Hey, what percentage of your radio hour is advertising versus media message?
We haven't done that evaluation, but you know what we've done, Frank, the last 2 days in here? I'm going to put you on hold because you got the music coming up here. Last 2 days, we didn't read any lives. There were some hiccups on Monday, and there were some hiccups on Tuesday. So we are doing Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday live reads today, baby, because...
Well, and that's because we spent yesterday raising money for Steptember.
Yeah, so that's the reason.
So we'll get back to you in a second,
Yeah.
Frank. We want to continue the conversation and not talk about advertisements. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's talk leader. This is News Talk 710 KNUS.
It is 9 a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show. News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center, and a little anxiety because that golf ball side hail sound that was just played. Everybody in Colorado knows that. You're just like, oh yeah. Oh,
yeah. It's,
it's probably their experience listening to us.
Yes.
As well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's like another blow to the head, mostly from me. Yeah. I still remember the time in which my now 18-year-old, she was a brand new driver, got caught in her very first hailstorm and calls me crying, like, what's going to happen? And it was a big hailstorm. There was some hail damage on her car. And actually, on a hail damage story, total sidetrack here, I found a really, really nice, expensive car for sale online this past week because it has hail damage. Yes. So all I'm saying is, if you wanted to find an affordable, let's say in the realm of things like, the Maserati level of type of cars, this thing was so affordable. However, looked like a teenager's face with a pimple breakout. It was awful.
So that doesn't bother me. I actually enjoy driving cars that have been a little dinged up.
Yeah.
Because I just don't worry about them. I'm like, I'll park wherever I need to. Someone throws it. My wife, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. Like, slightest ding, she's getting it done and fixed. Right.
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, I got stuff. My car's nearly 16 years old, 275,000 miles on it. It's got dings and all this. I remember somebody even backed into me and they're like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, we're good.
That's fantastic. I'm the person that parks further away in the parking lot so that you can't park near my car because I get so mad. I will hike. Now, my wife, on the other hand, I don't understand this. She has this parking karma gift that is stupid. And I don't understand. I don't have it. I don't try. I don't even bother going up to the front of the store because I'm not going to find anything. In fact, if there is an open spot, by the time I get there, somebody else is going to take it. That's how cursed I am in the parking lot. So I just park way far away and it makes me feel better. My wife is the person that pulls into the parking lot and she's like, I hope we find, look, that person in the front row is just backing out right now. Isn't this nice? That's her. Every single place
because she just exudes joy.
I don't know what
She's like an angel.
I don't know why she deals with me.
Let's go to the phone lines. Frank, Denver. Good morning, Frank. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Oh, wait, sorry. I have to go to an advertisement. I'm teasing you, Frank. Sorry.
So anyway, Jeff, I enjoyed your summary of what transpires in a big donor, small number of people controlling a legislature, democratically controlled state. I couldn't find many corrections that I wanted to make. I'd first like to ask Billy if he would like to add anything to that synopsis or change it in his opinion.
Not necessarily. It seems that's how things are done. And I think that the only other layer that I would add into part of it is that I think that some of the bills that are passed are done for the publicity, not for the outcome. And I think some of the layers of bills that are passed is so that the legislators of both parties can say, look, we're doing something. It doesn't matter whether or not the something works or the something's going to help or even make the problem less.
But I mean,
we
were talking about this off air. There's like 500 bills that pass a year.
Yeah.
500.
And you
bills.
can't say your life has gotten better substantially from year to year. Yes.
Like who and gee golly, that one bill that got through sure made everyone's lives better. That's because they're all just stupid little special interest projects. Go ahead, Frank.
So did we have a better state 20, 30, 40 years ago when it was more balanced and the people were more representative in the legislature, or now?
Well, I will say this about Republicans, and not all Republicans are this, but a lot of them are. They will ask that very simple first question: is this the role of government? Yeah. And you don't get that at all on the progressive left because government is God to them. So everything is the role of the government. But at least with some Republicans out there, you at least get that momentary pause of going, is this the role of government?
Yeah. And
I'm going to go back to Reagan. Less government is better government.
Yeah. See, and I look at, Frank, the government that both parties want is just different in their execution. Because I look at some of the ideas on the Republican side of the aisle to be focused on things like controlling the social issues, where the Democrats look more at regulations on business issues. And I think there's a horse apiece on both of those. My partner, Jeff, made a wonderful argument earlier about Democrats, and couldn't Democrats acquiesce a little bit on things like the right to life, things like abortion care, in order to get more Republican, lawmakers and things elected. But I could make the same argument on the other side, that couldn't Republicans say, in order to get more Republican representation inside the legislature, to acquiesce a little bit more on the abortion issue and the right to life. And part of that would be, we saw not in this election cycle, but the previous election cycle, certain people that were viewed as too liberal on abortion, and they were apostates inside of the GOP. There was heresy that they said that someone could have the ability to choose. So I think there's a horse apiece about intractability on some issues. I don't imagine that someone that is in a state like Texas that has vastly restricted things like abortion care will say that they're living under a freer society. So I think some of that has to do with perception. I think both parties want control. It's just what they want to control is different.
I do find it sad, having lived here for a long time, that when you have government in the hands of a few and they can control and manipulate like they do through the legislature, that it is sad to say it's becoming harder and harder for a young person to come here from another state or to get started here and not find the success and pleasure of being able to live here and grow and sit back and have something, because the power has been concentrated in the hands of a few and the riches also. So something needs to be done about that. And it's open for debate. Thank goodness. Thank for a radio program like you guys, where you can air some of these things out. But whether anything gets done about them is the real question behind the question.
But that'll come down to the voters and finally getting frustrated enough. I mean, that's the only way I see this ever moving forward, is people go, look, when we have total Democrat control, like pointing out where we are with GDP, we went from number 5 in the nation to now number 41. It's ultimately going to be the voters that have to change it. Yeah. Frank, fantastic call. And Frank, I appreciate you willing to talk about just how hard it is on young people.
Oh, yeah. And it's really
brutal.
hard. And I think that's one of the reasons that Jeff and I are plowing this very difficult direction inside of the show and inside of talk radio, because we are committed to being different than everybody else out there. Where else on the Denver radio dial are you going to find a forum that you will have open and honest conversation about all of these issues? It's going to be slanted one way or another with every other outlet that you encounter. But here we are going to be open, and we're going to actually allow both sides to come on, defend themselves, and hold both sides accountable. That's not what you're going to find. And in vast majorities of what you're going to find throughout this nation, that's not how this genre operates. And that's why, Jeff and I are fighting as hard as we can against a lot of headwinds, people in the industry telling us that we're doing this wrong, when we are fully committed to, no, we're doing this right, because we are giving an opportunity for you to have a voice, an opportunity to have a discussion, whether it's left, right, center, all sides, all views are welcome. And we're not necessarily always coming to the table saying we know what is right and we've decided this, and now you just have to listen to us, and then we're going to preach at you for 4 hours. Yeah,
that's exactly right. Another great guy out there that I highly recommend. In fact, I think, Frank, to your point, we can get him into government, you'd actually see some good changes. That's my own personal opinion. But as my friend Dan Kaplis with Dan Kaplis Law, Dan suggests you should choose a lawyer who shares your values, because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. So you're in an injury case. All right, we got to go into mediation. Maybe you have to go to court. You're going to show up with a guy you don't really know. You don't know his values, and you hired him because you saw him go by on a bus billboard. Nah, you want a guy that's honest, solid. Dan Kaplis, the son of a police officer, a former seminarian. Look at this track record, 40 years of his life dedicated helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. All right, so he's a quality dude, but can he win in the courtroom? Listen to this. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado cases. It gets better. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. In fact, Dan Kaplis is so trusted that he's the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Kaplis Law, serious firm for serious cases. You might be saying, I don't think I can afford Dan. Well, Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So chances are you're not in a car accident right now where you need to immediately dial Dan Caplis. But when that happens to you, do you want to be dealing with law enforcement, first responders, paramedics, the other injured person, all of that, your insurance company, and then trying to Google Dan Caplis Law? No, put his number in your phone right now. So when that happens, you're immediately getting a hold of the help that Dan Caplis Law can provide to you. Here's his phone number, okay? 303-770-5551. That's 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, CAPLIS Law.com. Let's check in on news and comment with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, Jeff and Billy. It's 29 and sunny in Denver, expecting a high of 50 today. The 710 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story, the man accused of trying to assassinate DJT, is appearing for a hearing in federal court this morning. Ryan Routh allegedly waited for over 12 hours in the brush with a rifle near Trump International Golf Club in West Palm as 47 was playing golf in September. Routh pleaded not guilty to 5 counts, including attempted assassination of a presidential candidate. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is testifying before a House committee over the withdrawal from Afghanistan. The testimony comes almost 3 months after the House Foreign Affairs Committee voted to recommend Blinken be held in contempt of Congress after a standoff related to him appearing before the panel to discuss the deadly evacuation in 2021. Chairman Michael McCall said Blinken's appearance is vital.
You ignored the warnings of collapse by your own personnel, as evidenced by the July 2021 dissent channel cable, one that I call a cry for help that was unanswered. And now, tragically, more than 3 years after this administration's disastrous withdrawal, you're finally here to take responsibility.
We're also figuring out how Democrats got all the illegal Haitian and Venezuelan illegals into America. Massive fraud. Imagine that. Representative Andy Biggs confronting immigration officials and an official about fraud taking place, and she admitted she knew about this. The same Social Security number was used at least 20 different times with Cuban, Haitian, and Nicaraguan and Venezuelan supporter applications. Just one of the long list of fraudulent, horrible things done, all this crap done by immigration.
But you didn't fix it. It's still ongoing. We're waiting for the next report to confirm that these things are still going on because it wasn't fixed. Mr. Chairman, my time's up. I'll yield back.
Mr. Chairman, can I respond to the question?
Please, sure.
Yes.
There was no question because I asked questions you couldn't answer, so that's why I gave a statement. There was no question for you, ma'am.
The suspect in the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson is fighting his extradition from Pennsylvania to New York. Luigi Mangione appeared in a Pennsylvania courtroom Tuesday where he challenged the extradition. He was ordered to be held without bail. So here's his defense attorney, Thomas Dickey, who absolutely sounds like a defense attorney you'd see on a TV show, Central Casting. I digress.
You know, you can't rush to judgment in this case or any case, because any one of you all, if you were charged with a crime or any of your family members or loved ones, you don't want anybody rushing to those judgments. So if you believe in America and that presumption of innocence, then you cannot rush to judgment.
Okay, and all this craziness just continues. Keep an eye on that. How about former NFL star Larry Johnson exposes Jay-Z and Beyonce? He calls her B on this recording here on the Jason Whitlock show last night. The horrific stories about Hollywood continue, and this one happened in Colorado.
When Jay was going after B was a very young woman. Now, I did a Rockaware photo shoot in Colorado, and I think it was during the wintertime of 06 or 07. And Naomi Campbell was there, actress Jamie King was there, Jay was there, B was there. and he rented this house, and we were supposed to do this rap party for this photo shoot. We rented this house, and we were watching LeBron play. And after the game, it had to be like 10 or 11 o'clock. So we getting ready to party. Mind you, it's all adults. So when 11 o'clock hit, we turned on the music, we started drinking, and then out of nowhere came these young children. I don't know where they came from. For a rap party at 11 o'clock at night, drinking, loud music, and us dancing wild. Like, I don't know where these kids came from. And then I happened to sit down because I was dancing with one of the assistants. And I sat next to this child, and the child sat next to Beyonce. So I hear B say something about, doesn't this look sexy, or isn't this sexy? And in my mind, and mind you, I'm not awakened as I'm awakened now. So in my mind, I'm like, what did she just say? And then I didn't pay no attention to it. And then, you know, obviously the liquor took hold of me and I had to leave. So I said bye to everybody and left. But those kids remained.
Lord have mercy. Lord help us all. 28 in Thornton, 27 in Lone Tree, 29 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue Wednesday morning. Blake Olson News Talk 710 KNUS.
Partly cloudy skies and a little bit warmer. Temperatures will make the upper 40s and low 50s in Denver today, upper 20s tonight. Temperatures upper 40s and lower 50s on Thursday, 20s Thursday night. Cloudy on Friday, a bit cooler as a weak disturbance comes through. Maybe a couple of flurries. Temperatures on Friday, 40s, 20s Friday night. Back to the 50s for Saturday and Sunday, trending colder with the front moving on Sunday night and into the day on Monday. I'm day weather meteorologist Don Day.
All right, welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're tracking what happened in Syria, the fall of Assad regime. My thesis was we're just going to see Libya all over again, right? And I was surfing X yesterday, and they're showing just straight up execution videos now. They're pulling anybody associated with the Assad regime. You put your name on a list, pulling you out of the street, executing you in broad daylight, no trials. Then dragging bodies, tying them behind cars, dragging them through the streets. This is not going to be a democracy. This is not the Arab Spring. This is just tribal communities taking over other tribal communities and killing anybody that's not in their communities. That's my perspective. I'm not at all optimistic you're going to see anything good come out of Syria ever for a very, very long time. But this guy saw it coming. He's on our sister station, KRKS, Crosswalk with Gino Geraci. He's been to that region. He understands it. He's understanding the details of what's happening there. And he joins the Jeff and Bill Show. Gino, thanks so much for being on the program.
Yeah, good morning.
Well, thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Bill. Yeah, you have to be suspicious. Both of you have to be suspicious where the conversation begins with, if you like your head, you can keep your head.
Seriously. I mean, it's brutal.
Then everything changes. So it's caused me to think deeply about what does the Syrian conflict mean for the world? You know, in other words, we could pinpoint certain areas. How is this going to affect Israel? How is this going to affect the Middle East at large? How is it going to affect the United States of America? But to your point, you know, what will be the transition of power? Who are these people? What will they do? And many people realize that the Syrian rebels are led by a man who was formerly a part of Al-Qaeda and the Islamic States in Syria. There seemed to be some moderation and hope that he might moderate his tone. But to your point, Jeff, if you're moderating your tone and you begin to execute the opposition in the streets, beheading them, and then dragging them through the streets, that doesn't bode well. The other thing that it doesn't bode well for are the other groups, like the Kurds and the Yazidis and certainly the Christians. So I think what we're going to see is in a broad term possible scenarios. And the possible scenarios that I think about are that Israel, so in the last 48 hours, you probably are aware that Israel basically crippled the infrastructure of Syria as far as its military capability. And by that, I mean Air Force, Army, the large ordnance capability. And so if these rebels come to power, they're going to have to recreate an armed infrastructure to pose a threat. But if Israel determines that Iran is responding to the fall of Assad by accelerating its own nuclear weapons, they could possibly launch a preemptive strike. So this possible scenario is that Russia, China, and North Korea decide that they're going to defend Iran by striking back at Israel. And then the United States comes to Israel's defense. And if then American forces are attacked and NATO fulfills its treaty obligations by joining the war, this is a pathway towards World War III. Now, I'm hoping and praying that that's not the scenario. I'm hoping and praying that we might see a different scenario where there's a more moderating response by Russia and China because of their own difficult situations. So would this bring, so imagine that the Syrian rebels determine that armed aggression against Israel is in their best interest. Now, Israel has already anticipated that and completely decimated their infrastructure. But could they mount a sufficient response to create a problem? Would that cause Israel to accelerate its actions in Syria and Lebanon? And again, would that bring Russia and China to Iran's defense, triggering what I already talked about?
Talking with Gino Geraci, you know him from Crosswalk with Gino on KRKS, our sister station. Now, 94.7. Every afternoon he's on over there, so you can listen and even call in and join his show. Now, Gino, there's a lot of moving pieces here, right? So
Correct.
Russia,
Correct.
For years, bragged about the fact that they'd never abandoned any of their satellite countries that they support. And in this case, they got Assad out of there, but really only because of the blessing of Russia to allow the Assad regime to fall. I don't think that would have happened without Russia at least knowing that it was going to happen. Then you have it's thinning out in Ukraine. They're bringing in North Korean soldiers to balance out the border there, so they have a fighting force there. Iran, in many ways, has been weakened as a result of Israel's boldness. Nobody picking up a pager anywhere near there. Direct assassinations of high-level Hamas operatives taking place deep within Iran. Israel has shown it's willing to push the boundary. So Russia's weakened, Iran's weakened, now Syria falls. It seems to be coming back to China. It's really the kind of last one sticking around with enough strength to keep this going. Not to say that Russia's totally weakened, but that regime, those elements of Iran, Syria, Russia, China, North Korea, don't seem to be on strong footing right now.
Yeah, and to your point, we have to ask that kind of very hard question. Where does China's priorities lie in its own ambitions? What is in the hierarchy of ambitions? What is the hierarchy of China's ambitions? And to your point earlier, Assad had hoped that both Iran and Russia would prevent him from falling. You know, this is sort of like, remember those exercises that people have? Look, just fall into my arms. I'll catch you.
Trust fall. Yeah.
This is a trust exercise. And so Assad begins to lean back and Russia doesn't catch him. Now, it catches him literally in the sense that he and his family are now in Moscow. But Syria is fallen. So the other scenario that people were hoping for is that the rebels will govern Syria in a responsible manner and leave Israel in peace. Now, to your point where you opened the program with, their initial governance strategy doesn't seem to reflect responsibility. In a perfect world, they begin to see, hey, you know what? This is a fight we're not capable of waging. Iran sees the folly of building nuclear the threat or following up on the nuclear threat. Russia, already embroiled in the invasion of Ukraine, decides to stay out of it completely. China, as it's trying to create its ambitions towards Taiwan, stays out of it completely. Then you have the new Trump administration coming in, and I think everybody agrees, supporters of Trump and people who are highly critical of the president. Everyone agrees that Trump is unpredictable. and so it could be that very unpredictability creates the major mechanism in order to go forward in peace. You'll remember that Trump believes that his superpower is the ability to make the deal. His ability to make the deal. And I suspect that that in a Middle Eastern culture, in a shame culture, it could very well be that the president really does have leverage. So part of the problem that we face, though, is what if Israel is unable to conclude its conflict with Hamas? I suspect that it will conclude its conflict. I suspect that the hostages, what are left of them, will be released. I suspect that cooler heads are going to try and figure out a way to moderate and stabilize the region by supporting the cooler heads and pleading with Iran and Syria to sort of take the loss and to rebuild their ambitions for the future. But that's the other thing that Jeff and Bill, that hardly ever gets talked about, and that is, why is there such a deep and committed animosity towards Israel? What is it that's driving that animosity? Many people forget that in 1963, the Ayatollah Khomeini was forced out of Iran because he preached a sermon. And when the sermon that he preached was, in order for Islam to achieve its noble goals, Israel has to cease to exist. He's repeatedly referred to Israel as a cancer that has to be eliminated. And so this all goes to, again, an ideological and a religious viewpoint concerning their idea of where is the world going? How is history going to unfold? And then how is the story going to finally be told? So that's why, the religious and the theological and the ideological belief system plays such an important role in the undercurrent of this whole tragedy.
Gino Geraci, he's the host of Crosswalk with Gino Geraci on our sister station KRKS, talking to Jeff and Bill. Now, Gino, I want to address the idea of what we think the Syrian government could look like, and what I'm specifically focusing on is, who are their allies? Because the rebel group is basically funded by, Erdogan in Turkey is where they come out of, but there are ties to Iran. And I want to go further in a little bit after you talk about, what you think the allies and the setup of the government inside of Syria looks like, because of how that could change the balance of power in the Middle East, primarily Iran, because Iran's only state ally was Syria. And now they don't have that anymore. And we'll talk about some of the pillars of resistance they will, but in a second. But first, what do you think that Syria's government is going to look like? And who are they going to choose as their friends and their enemies?
That's an interesting thing, because the leader of HFT has said, in a moderating kind of tone, he was asked about Sharia and he was asked about Islamic rule. And his response, I think, was telling. He said, people misunderstand Sharia and Islamic rule. That was his response. But I think it was code for, we are going to have Sharia. We're going to look for a Sharia kind of underpinning. Now, again, in the ideological frame of reference, you can talk about words of justice. Now, to your point about Iran, one of the things, Bill, that I found really interesting when the rebels went into Damascus, one of the very first things, obviously, they went into Assad's palace and his exotic car collection. But did you know that they also went into the Iranian embassy and ransacked it?
Talking to Gino Geraci, you know him from Crosswalk. Gino, the show's on at 3 p.m. every day. Is that right?
4 to 6.
4 to 6. 4 to 6. KRKS. He has experience in this part of the world and is providing important insight on all of this happening. We'll continue to track it with Gino. I really appreciate you taking time to join the Jeff and Bill show today. Thanks, Gino.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having me. And obviously it's fascinating and terrifying. And so my encouragement to everyone is to just pay close attention and remember there are people in harm's way, and our thoughts, our prayers, our sympathies and compassion are for people who are victims in this conflict. So
that's exactly right. Crosswalk with Gino Geraci on 94.7 weekdays, 4 to 6 p.m. And he's got expertise in this part of the world. Tune in, call in, and continue that conversation with him over there. Gino, thanks again for joining the Jeff and Bill show.
Thank you so much.
Hey, look, are you starting the new year dealing with the same old joint pain, losing sleep, not able to take walks or do what you love because of your knees or hips? Guys, let's not start 2025 this way. Take action now and get the pain relief you deserve in the upcoming year. All you got to do is call QC Kinetics. Joel in our office uses QC Kinetics. What they do, take some blood out, get the plasma going, re-inject the plasma into places that hurt. It encourages your body in what's called regenerative medicine, okay? So it kicks off your own body to heal your body. And Joel playing more golf than he ever has in his entire life because of QC Kinetics. The rest of us complain about getting older. Not Joel. He's doing a fantastic job and enjoying life more than ever. QC Kinetics, local medical professionals, they're just waiting for you. Give them a call and let's get started, especially if you've been told surgery is your best or only option. At least get a second opinion, guys. It takes forever, and it's super expensive if you go into surgery, right? So find out if all natural regenerative medicine's right for you. Give QC Kinetics a call today. The consultation's free. You can also use your HSA and FSA dollars. Here's the phone number, 303-900-8986. That's 303-900-8986. They've got locations in Aurora, Superior, Highlands Ranch, and the Springs. So there's a place near you. Give them a call. Check it out. QC Kinetics and their power of regenerative medicine. We'll continue with the Jeff and Bill show.
This is Denver's talk station, News Talk 710 KNUS.
At this hour, I'm Christina Owayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories.
Texas state troopers have arrested a pair of illegal migrants from Mexico who were trespassing on a private ranch in Kinney County. According to Lieutenant Chris Olivares with Texas DPS, the two illegal migrants tried to run from troopers but were quickly caught. Neri Flores is a confirmed Mexican mafia gang member. He was charged with criminal trespass and evading arrest. Flores is also a previously deported aggravated felon and is wanted on an immigration violation. He served 16 years in prison for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and was deported back to Mexico in 2020. Osvaldo Castaneda Loma is being charged with criminal trespass and evading arrest. Giovanni Martes Rosario, the former chief of staff to Mayor Brian DePena, has pleaded guilty to child porn. According to acting U.S. Attorney Joshua Levy, the 50-year-old pleaded guilty in federal court to 1 count of transportation of child pornography and 1 count of possession of child porn. He was indicted by a federal grand jury in April of 2023. After a search, they found an iPad that had child porn files on it. Levy saying Martes Rosario admitted he was the owner of the accounts and that he searched for and downloaded child porn to his personal iPad, later sending it to his email for storage. He also admitted to searching and storing child porn for years.
In Dallas, Christina Owayo, Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Let's go to the phone lines. Nick, good morning, Nick.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. I just want to tie into what a conversation I had. I forget who it was, you or your partner, about a $500 contribution that the Steck Elementary School demanded from all the parents that had kids in that school to pay for all the extra costs of all this immigration.
Yeah.
And I got an update from the lady because I hadn't seen her in a while. And she said that, as I suspected, that contribution, that voluntary contribution basically turned into you have to pay it. And a lot of the people, a lot of the parents sending kids over there, I mean, they're barely scraping by.
Yep.
They don't need another $500 bill to worry about. So all I'm saying is that there is a cost to all this immigration policy. Yep. And that ties into what I heard about last week when the mayor was quizzed about his immigration policy that has cost the city, $150 million. And what's really telling, he had no remorse. And he was not going to change his direction or his belief structure. It's just going to be more of the same.
Yep. No, they believe that this is really good for the city. If you go and listen to his messaging, you talk about, or he talks about all the great jobs that illegal immigrants are doing, how they contribute to the economy, and how much better the city of Denver is because of it. But to your point, Nick, we had Barb Kirkmeyer, if you remember, there was an emergency meeting at the Colorado State Capitol in the spring where they had to reallocate funds from other projects to go to schools to deal with all the second language learners, the new meals they're going to provide, because by federal law, you're mandated to take care and educate these kids. You have to. And it wasn't in the original budget in 2024. They had to change things, move stuff around because of the 40,000 illegal immigrants that came to the city of Denver because they put up a giant banner, said, "We heart immigrants, come on here." They not only provided their education for them, they provided 6 months of housing that they paid for. They provided debit cards. They provided attorneys for them. This cost hundreds of millions of dollars to the city of Denver and to the state of Colorado. And as a result, they had to reallocate funds. So it wasn't going to the projects to serve citizens. It was going to serve these illegal immigrants. And Nick, to your exact point, they want it this way.
Yes, they do. And the thing is, how long will this insanity go on? I mean, look what's happened to California. California is a little bit ahead of us in this insanity, but they're flat broke. And what people on what I consider the wrong side of the fence don't understand is whether you like it or not, there's a cost to all this. And that cost has to be borne by all the taxpayers.
That's exactly right, Nick.
There is a cost.
You're exactly right. And until voters say you got to prioritize citizens, you got to prioritize safety, you got to prioritize our roads, you got to get the businesses working again. Can't be driving them out of the city of Denver until it's the voters that are willing to do that. This is just going to continue. Great call, Nick. Really appreciate it. Nick's line will be open 303-696-1971. 303-696-1971, or join the conversation via text. These text messages come right into the studio on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Look, if you're losing your hair, you need a simple solution that works. You want the best modern technology with top-rated physicians, something that's guaranteed to work. Guys, you need Dr. Tanya Pauls and her team at Advanced Hair. They've completely redefined hair restoration from the experience itself to their unmatched results. If you got receding hairline, a bald spot, or thinning hair, address them all with Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment in a calm, relaxed environment with the most experienced professionals. Advanced Hair has performed tens of thousands of these breakthrough treatments, and get this, your own natural hair begins to regrow the very next day. I've had family members get their hair done, and it brought back a youthfulness and energy in their lives, in every area of their lives, in their business, in their love lives, in their relationships with their kids and their families. All of it got better because they felt better about themselves. So you got to go check out Advanced Hair. No one in Denver can offer anything like this, like the Advanced FUE found at Advanced Hair, and I highly recommend their team. It starts with your free consultation. Call 720-459-HAIR. 720-459-HAIR. If you qualify, you'll get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. So refine your hairline with the team that's redefined hair restoration. Again, the phone number 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com. Advancedhair.com. We'll continue with the Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
stolen, trafficked down to Mexico, and traded for drugs. Drugs brought back up, sold to Denver.
Yeah, and I guess as long as you cross your heart and hope to die, they just accept that it's your car when you drive it out of DIA. You just have to say, nope, this is mine, I promise. Oh, okay, sure, go right ahead. Take the car.
You can pay with quarters?
Yeah, quarters and just take any
Melissa
car you
was
can
great.
get into.
She's like, I got out of there with just quarters.
And evidently, they don't even check to see if it's your car.
No.
So again, if you're arriving back from a long journey today and you see a car you'd prefer to have in your driveway, take it. Evidently, that's okay out of DIA. They just allow you to do that.
And Phil Weiser will actually defend you so long as it's not your third car stealing.
Or if you just promise to him that you're sleeping in it, then it's okay. That's what he says.
So that getting busted, but drugs continuing to pour in. Now you got Mexican cartel activity. Jenna Griswold investigation, at least one of them wrapping up, and the result, well, just do better, Jenna, next time.
Yeah. The other
Gosh, it must be nice to be a Democrat in control in Colorado. You get paid. There's ethics investigations, and they just slap you on the wrist and tell you to do better next time.
Yeah. And the other part on that one that I was really critical on is that it showed mismanagement inside of the office. And that really, the fact that there's nothing held, no responsibility at all there, because the office was mismanaged and how they went through the process. And the fact that they had decided not to post the Excel spreadsheet stuff out of the passwords earlier, then they decided for it to be more convenient to do that. And no one bothered to check on whether or not they could get to the passwords and the hidden. I mean, just the phenomenal list of bad decisions that were made in a row.
The staff member that was just sitting there pressing the accept button.
Yeah. They just, can we post this? Click. Yeah. Just so I can go back to playing Candy Crush. Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic.
Colorado economy not doing so well, slipping. Used to be number 5 based upon GDP development, all that stuff. Even take-home pay, all that starting to drop. Colorado now down at 41. Holy cow, we heard some callers on how we got to that point, and then a Syria update. So it was a wild show today.
And I like Gino Geraci, who joined us from our sister station, KRKS, talking about how is Iran going to react to this? Because inside of the Middle East, Iran had Hezbollah, they had Hamas, and then Syria was their only state ally.
They had their cojones.
Yeah. they looked at the idea of
they don't got those anymore.
They looked at the ideas that was their beachhead against everything else happening in the Middle East. And after November 7th, they thought, hey, we've got something here. This is a sea change of what's happening inside the Middle East. And they were completely and totally wrong about the direction it's going. And how is Iran going to play this one out? It's going to be really scary to watch.
Drone video of the dude in Lebanon that the drone flew in? He's just sitting
he's sitting there,
in a chair, and he
hit him with the missile.
Stick.
Yeah,
that's kind of where Iran is at this point. Kind of beaten down, not going so well for them. So how are they going to react? We talked with Gino about that. So all that 710knus.com. You can download the podcast there. You've been listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.